Chapter 4565. Outside the ancient city, Lin Feng looked at the Red World Fairy and asked with a smile. Fairy! Do you want to come with me to Sin City to take a look? The Red World Fairy looked at Lin Feng indifferently and said, Looking for a free fighter? Lin Feng said. Of course not. I'm inviting you to Sin City as a friend. The Red World Fairy said. You and I are not friends, so I refuse your invitation. As soon as he finished speaking, Honorable Immortal Hongqin disappeared on the spot. After the Red World Fairy left, Lin Feng could not help but mutter. That's right. We're not friends. We're lovers! Asterisk bang! Asterisk, but the next moment, Lin Feng was sent flying by an invisible force. The Red World Fairy's voice resounded in his ears. If you dare to spout nonsense again, I won't let you off so easily next time. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. The Red World Fairy had already left. Could she still hear his muttering? Wasn't this woman a little too perverted? Or could it be that the Red World Fairy had not left at all? Was she hiding in the dark and spying on him? Peeping Tom! Ah! Lin Feng wailed inwardly. Lin Feng did not stay where he was. He got up from the ground and flew towards Sin City. Sin City. It had a long history. It could be considered a famous ancient city in Sin Realm. But ever since the dynasty established by the Sinner's bloodline was destroyed, Sin City was no longer prosperous. Some people were imprisoned here. These people were mainly the in-laws of the Sinner's bloodline. Back then, the Sinner's bloodline had been massacred in large numbers. As for the relatives of the Sinner's bloodline, even though they did not have the Sinner's bloodline, they were still implicated. These people were also massacred by the Sacred Army. The casualties were extremely heavy. However, this incident caused a huge uproar in the Undying Realm, and many factions were extremely dissatisfied. After all, it was fine if you were dealing with the Sinner's bloodline. Why must you slaughter innocent people wantonly? Under the pressure from all sides, the Sacred Army had not completely massacred the Sinner's bloodline in-laws. However, most of the Sinner's bloodline in-laws who were lucky enough to survive were imprisoned in the Sin capital. They basically had no chance of leaving the city of Sin. Sinful City used to be very lively in the past, but when Lin Feng came here, it was a completely different scene. This place was lifeless, as if he had come to a place filled with despair. As Lin Feng walked down the street, he saw quite a few cultivators like Lin Feng. After all, Sin City was a huge ancient city. Moreover, this ancient city was an extremely important place. Thus, there were quite a few people who came here to rest and do business. However, the city of Sin was heavily guarded. Therefore, the cultivators who passed through this place were extremely cautious. He would not speak carelessly here. If the Sacred Legion heard him, he would not speak carelessly. At that time, it wouldn't end well. Little brother, I see that your face is very handsome. With one look, I can tell that you are someone with great luck. This old man just happens to have a treasure here that is fated to be with young noble. Whether or not you can obtain this treasure will depend on young noble's sincerity. At this time, an old man came to Lin Feng's side. With the demeanor of a martial arts master, he promoted the so-called treasure to Lin Feng. This kind of situation often gave people the feeling that they had met a swindler. Lin Feng also felt that this old man in front of him might be a swindler, but he didn't drive him away. This was because this old man was as thin as firewood. His eyes were bloodshot, and his body didn't seem to be particularly good. Lin Feng's heart was moved by compassion. What is it? Lin Feng asked. A map, the old man said. Map? What map? Lin Feng asked doubtfully. A cloud-piercing arrow, a magnificent army will come to meet you. Rumor has it that this map can lead you to an invincible army of the past. This is a token. When the time comes, young noble can take this token and become the leader of that invincible army, the old man said. After hearing the old man's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. He originally thought that the old man was just trying to sell him some secret manuals of cultivation methods and divine abilities. Who would have thought that this old man was promoting a map related to an invincible army? No matter how he looked at it, it sounded like he had met a swindler. Lin Feng said with a smile that wasn't a smile. With such a map, why don't you go look for it yourself? If you can find that invincible army, won't you become the leader of that army? At that time, you'll be awesome, the old man said seriously. Actually, I also looked for it, but I didn't find it. Of course, it's not that there's a problem with my map. It's because I don't have the opportunity, so I've been waiting for the fated person to appear. Young Noble is clearly that fated person. Hearing this, Lin Feng only wanted to say, Who are you trying to fool? At this time, the old man handed the map to Lin Feng. Lin Feng took the map and looked at it. He saw a special symbol on the map. The symbol was in the shape of a lightning bolt. Lin Feng asked, What does this lightning bolt mean? The old man said, This invincible army is called the Lightning Corps. Lightning Corps? What kind of corps is that? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. Why did the name sound so strange? Why not call it the Lightning Corps? This name seemed to be cooler than the Lightning Corps. The old man said, The Lightning Corps is an army with an extraordinary background. What's so extraordinary about the Lightning Corps? Lin Feng asked curiously. The old man said, The commander of the Lightning Corps has a lightning bolt symbol between his eyebrows. That's how the Lightning Corps got its name. Is that a racial symbol? A member of the Lightning Tribe? Lin Feng asked in astonishment. He thought of an ancient race in history, the Lightning Tribe. It was extremely powerful in the past, but it was said that this race had been destroyed. That's right. The commander was a member of the Lightning Tribe. It's said that his name was Mu Xiuhan. Later on, he formed the Lightning Corps. Perhaps you don't know how terrifying the Lightning Corps is, but I've heard that it was one of the strongest cultivator armies during the era of titled gods. Unfortunately, the Lightning Corps seemed to have fallen into a trap and was completely wiped out. In that case, this corps has already disappeared, and you're still asking me to find it? Lin Feng was speechless. The soul of the Lightning Corps hasn't been destroyed, and they've turned into an army of ghost soldiers. If you can find the Lightning Corps with a map, you can become its new master. Think about it, how glorious would it be to control a huge army of ghost soldiers? Of course, the most important thing is to control such an army. When the time comes, you'll be invincible, the old man said in an enticing manner. In that case, this map is really good stuff. I'll buy it. Name a price. Lin Feng said. Brothers, have you completed the mission? Everyone is a big shot, and they've eliminated us. However, we can't give up. Everyone, continue to complete the mission. Vote, 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 and reward until the last day. Chapter 4566. 100 immortal stones, the old man said. Lin Feng nodded. To him, 100 immortal stones was just the cost of a meal. To others, 100 immortal stones was already an astronomical figure. Lin Feng took out 100 immortal stones and handed it to the old man. The old man thanked him and hurriedly left, as if he was afraid that Lin Feng would go back on his word. Lin Feng looked at the map, which was full of twists and turns. This map doesn't seem to be complete. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Of course, he didn't really expect this map to be the token of the Lightning Corps. Lin Feng couldn't help everyone. However, he would do his best to help some people. For example, the old man from before. Little brother, you were scammed just now. That old man comes out to sell maps every day, and the maps he sells are exactly the same. A cultivator who had set up a stall nearby looked at Lin Feng with a gloating expression. Lin Feng said indifferently, I know. The cultivator's eyes widened and he asked, You know he's a scammer, but you still bought his things? Are you stupid? Lin Feng said indifferently. Can I be happy? It's just 100 immortal stones. I spend more than 10,000 immortal stones for a meal. If 100 immortal stones were to be thrown on the ground, I wouldn't even bother to bend down and pick them up. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the corner of the gloating stall owner's mouth twitched violently. He didn't doubt Lin Feng's words, because Lin Feng didn't seem to feel any heartache. Where did this rich man come from? If he had known, he would have tricked him into buying things. Lin Feng found an inn in the city of Sin to stay. He planned to go to the black market to inquire about the descendants of the Sin's bloodline, and the marriage of the Sin's bloodline. Of course, he could obtain all kinds of information through the proper channels, but the information through the proper channels was usually controlled by some big forces. For example, the Sacred Core was very likely to control the proper channels in the city of Sin. It was fine to inquire about other things, but to inquire about the marriage between the descendants of the sinner's bloodline and the descendants of the sinner's bloodline, wasn't that just courting death? Perhaps before the information had been gathered, the cultivator army of the Sacred Legion had already come to capture them. The black market in Sin City was very lively. People came and went as foreign cultivators liked to sell all kinds of things here. He also liked to buy all kinds of things here. Lin Feng saw a female cultivator in front of him with a graceful figure. She was wearing a green dress, and there were a few snow-white fox tails under the dress. The nine-tailed Arctic fox was a famous fox spirit. Fox spirits were beautiful to begin with. The nine-tailed white fox was the most beautiful female cultivator among the fox spirits. Although Ning Qing did not see the appearance of this fox spirit. However, judging from the reactions of the surrounding people and her graceful figure, one could tell just how beautiful that fox spirit was. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't so bored as to run to the front to see what the vixen looked like. He wasn't that bored, and he wasn't that lustful. Lin Feng stopped in front of a trading company. Generally, trading companies would sell all kinds of things, including all kinds of information. There were quite a few trading companies in the black market. The reason why Lin Feng stopped in front of this trading company was because this trading company was called Heavenly Talk Floor. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He originally thought that Heavenly Talk Floor was just an organization that sold information alone. But now it seemed that he was wrong. Heavenly Talk Floor didn't just sell all kinds of information. It also established a trading company. Lin Feng still remembered Su Yinren from the Divine Monarch City's black market. She was responsible for the operation of Divine Monarch City's Heavenly Talk Floor. Of course, Divine Monarch City's Heavenly Talk Floor was not the same as Sin City's Heavenly Talk Floor. When Lin Feng went to Divine Monarch City's Heavenly Talk Floor, it only sold all kinds of information. Perhaps it was because Divine Monarch City's Heavenly Talk Floor had just been established. One had to take one step at a time. One couldn't eat fatso all at once. Therefore, Divine Monarch City's Heavenly Talk Floor only sold all kinds of information for the time being. In the future, it would probably establish a trading company model. Only by doing so could one maximize one's profits. Obviously, many large organizations understood this principle. After Lin Feng entered Heavenly Talk Floor, a beautiful servant girl came forward to serve Lin Feng. I want to inquire about some important information. Bring me to see your Heavenly Talk Floor's elder, Lin Feng said. The servant girl could tell that Lin Feng had an extraordinary bearing, so she didn't dare slight him. She respectfully said, Please follow me, young master. Lin Feng nodded and followed behind the servant girl. The servant girl brought Lin Feng to a drawing room. She then poured some tea for Lin Feng. Then, he retreated and went to invite the elder. Not long after, an old man arrived. The old man's name was Su Mu. He had the same surname as Su Yinran. It was unknown if they were from the same clan. Both sides cupped their fists and sat down. Su Mu smiled and asked, Young master, may I know what information you wish to inquire about? Lin Feng said, Information about the sinner's blood descendants. How much do you know here? Su Mu was surprised. He hadn't expected Lin Feng to be here to inquire about the sinner's blood descendants. Thus, he couldn't help but take a deep look at Lin Feng and say, The sinner's blood descendants are rather well hidden. It's difficult for us to inquire about them. Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his brows. Although he had mentally prepared himself, Lin Feng was still rather disappointed when he heard Su Mu's words. He then asked, What about the sinner's blood-in-laws? What's the current situation? Su Mu said, Back then, about 70% of the sinners' blood-in-laws were slaughtered. Only the old, weak, women, and children remained. The sacred army was pressured into not killing them. However, the sinners' blood-in-laws were strictly guarded. Coupled with the fact that they weren't able to obtain any cultivation resources, their blood gradually died out. Many of the sinners' blood-in-laws gradually turned into mortal bodies and vanished from the world. Lin Feng frowned. The situation seemed to be much worse than he had imagined. Does that mean the sinners' blood-in-laws have completely declined? Lin Feng asked. Su Mu nodded and said, You can put it that way. The natives of Sin City are basically the descendants of the sinners' blood-in-laws. There are many of them, and the atmosphere is lifeless all day long. There is no hope in life. However, these descendants of the sinners' blood-in-laws don't know much about the past. Perhaps there are some who do, but those people are very well hidden and won't reveal themselves easily. Lin Feng didn't obtain any particularly useful information during his trip to Heavenly Savvy Tower, which made him feel rather helpless. He had originally wanted to find clues about the sinners' blood descendants, but now, it seemed that it wouldn't be easy. After leaving Heavenly Savvy Tower, Lin Feng headed outside. He wasn't in the mood to stroll around the black market. Just as Lin Feng was about to leave the black market, the surroundings suddenly changed. Everyone on the street disappeared without a trace. Only he was left standing in the middle of the street. Chapter 4567. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Someone had actually set up an illusion here. Was this person trying to kill him? Who was it? Come out, don't hide your head and tail, Lin Feng said indifferently. A black-clothed cultivator with a sword on his back silently appeared in front of Lin Feng. This was a cultivator who had killed countless people, because Lin Feng could feel the aura of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood from him. This cultivator was very scary. Assassin? Lin Feng looked at the black-clothed cultivator in surprise. In the mortal world, Lin Feng had more contact with assassins. For example, the Nine Nether Assassin Dynasty. Back then, he was the one who destroyed this assassin dynasty. Of course, it was normal for the undying world to have an assassin dynasty. After all, there were so many forces in the undying world. What was so strange about someone forming a powerful assassin dynasty? It seemed that someone had found someone from the assassin dynasty to deal with him. The black-clothed man did not say anything, but a voice came from behind him. He, that's right. We are assassins who are here to kill you. Lin Feng looked behind him and saw a woman. She was extremely beautiful and charming. This woman had 9 fox tails. 9-tailed Arctic fox. It was actually the woman Lin Feng had seen before. He had admired this woman's graceful figure from behind, but Lin Feng had never thought that this woman was also an assassin. Lin Feng said in surprise. Assassins are usually like this, brother, wrapping themselves up like a dumpling. Yet you appear in front of me so openly. Aren't you afraid that I will reveal your identity? The 9-tailed Arctic fox smiled and said, Are you afraid that a dead person will reveal your secret? Lin Feng raised his brows slightly and said, It seems that you are extremely confident in your methods. Do you think you can kill me? Of course, the 9-tailed Arctic fox said indifferently. Then, she laughed coquettishly. But how about this? I think you are quite good-looking. If you agree to be my manservant, I will spare your life. What do you think? Coquettish fox, Tanuki. Lin Feng couldn't help but smirk. The 9-tailed Arctic fox's gaze turned cold. She sneered and said, I gave you a chance to live, but you didn't cherish it. If that's the case, then only death awaits you. Lin Feng naturally didn't believe the 9-tailed white fox's words. If he really agreed to submit, and then swore an oath to become her manservant, he would probably be killed immediately. He wouldn't even be able to resist. Of course, Lin Feng wouldn't agree. Your figure is not bad, and your looks are not bad either. You are barely qualified to be my bed-warming maid, Lin Feng said with a faint smile. Kill him, the 9-tailed Arctic fox said coldly. So, at this time, The black-clothed assassin pulled out his sword and quickly rushed towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng took out the black dragon sword and quickly attacked the black-clothed assassin. However, he had only dashed out a few meters when the scene in front of him changed drastically. The surroundings turned into a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Lin Feng found himself in the middle of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Within the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, there were endless Yin corpses. Those Yin corpses woke up one after another and rushed towards him. As for the assassin, he disappeared without a trace. Illusion! That vixen is so powerful! Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. He opened his Eye of Origin. As his Eye of Origin opened and closed, all the illusions disappeared. Lin Feng was still standing on the street, and the black-clothed assassin had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. The long sword in his hand stabbed towards the top of Lin Feng's head. In the blink of an eye, it was going to be a sword. It was going to pierce through Lin Feng's head. At this critical moment, Lin Feng's right hand appeared in front of the top of his head. Then, his two fingers directly clamped the incoming sword. The black-clothed assassin's expression changed slightly. Obviously, he didn't expect Lin Feng to block his fatal sword. Lin Feng's other hand was about to slap the black-clothed assassin to death. However, Lin Feng suddenly felt danger. The next moment, on Lin Feng's left, right, and back, a cold sword appeared in the void. They all stabbed towards Lin Feng. There were a total of 5 people on the other side. 2 were in the open and 2 were in the dark. If the 2 people in the open had a way to kill Lin Feng, the people in the dark naturally didn't have to make a move. If they couldn't kill Lin Feng, the people in the dark would make a move. Lin Feng had sensed the surrounding heaven and earth before, but he didn't sense the people in the dark. Obviously, their concealment methods were very terrifying. They hid from Lin Feng's senses. This made Lin Feng quite shocked. Now, the people in the dark suddenly came out, wanting to catch Lin Feng off guard. The eyes of the 5 assassins flashed with killing intent. In their view, Lin Feng's aura had already been locked by them. So, now Lin Feng had no way to avoid it. There was only a dead end. At the critical moment, Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique. He borrowed another chance from the heavens. Swish! With a flash of light, Lin Feng suddenly disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was already 100 meters away. At this time, the 4 assassins and the 9-tailed Arctic fox gathered together. Lin Feng frowned as he looked at these people. This assassin team was really too powerful. Their cooperation was seamless. It was the first time Lin Feng had encountered such a powerful assassin team. You are different from other assassin organizations, Lin Feng said with a frown. The 9-tailed Arctic fox smiled and said, Of course, we are from the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty. Speaking of the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty, the 9-tailed Arctic fox and the 4 assassins had an extremely arrogant expression. Never heard of it, Lin Feng said indifferently. A lowly person like you naturally has never heard of the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty. The 9-tailed Arctic fox sneered. Obviously, she should be the leader of this assassin team. She was responsible for creating illusions to confuse and restrict the opponent. As for the other assassins, they were responsible for killing the opponent. Lin Feng said indifferently. You really think too highly of yourself. Assassins are just a group of people who can't see the light of day. A very sad group of people. You actually have the nerve to show an arrogant look? Are you trying to deceive yourself? You don't know life from death. The 9-tailed Arctic fox's gaze suddenly sank. She stretched out her slender jade hands. Then, her hands continuously changed seals. Each seal was filled with a sense of mystery. Lin Feng realized that the surrounding scene had changed again. He once again looked from the street. It was as if the scene in front of him had turned into hell. There was a gloomy ghost aura everywhere, permeating between heaven and earth. The 9-tailed Arctic fox and the other 4 assassins had disappeared. When Lin Feng opened his Eye of Origin to see through the illusion in front of him, he was shocked to find that his Eye of Origin was unable to see through the illusion in front of him. Chapter 4568. Lin Feng had always been very confident in his Eye of Origin. Moreover, his Eye of Origin was indeed very powerful. It was very rare for it to fail. But today, Lin Feng's Eye of Origin had failed. Obviously. Lin Feng knew that the fox spirit must have used some unknown method to interfere with his Eye of Origin. That fox spirit was still very terrifying. Lin Feng did not dare to underestimate that fox spirit. After all, this blood prison assassin team was very powerful. And to be able to become the leader of this assassin team, without a few skills, how could one become the leader? Others would not accept her. Lin Feng felt that danger was approaching, but he could not sense the whereabouts of the fox spirit and the other 4 people. The surroundings were filled with dense ghost qi. Cries that sounded like the cries of evil spirits resounded throughout the world. When the cries were heard, Yi Zichen's eyes lit up. Anyone would feel their hair stand on end. If you don't come out, I won't be able to force you out? Lin Feng's face revealed a cold expression. He began to activate his haki. Lin Feng's epic haki had completed its evolution. After the epic haki evolved, the magnetic field power of the 4 layers of haki would be even more terrifying. Lin Feng activated his epic haki, White Tiger Haki, Azure Dragon Haki, and Supreme Haki. The powerful haki shook the void. With Lin Feng as the center, a very terrifying magnetic field was formed. There were waves of violent fluctuations around the magnetic field. Every fluctuation resonated with the void. Under the effect of the haki magnetic field, the fox spirit and the 4 assassins appeared one after another. There was one person in front of Lin Feng, one on his left, one on his right, and one behind him. They were only 5 meters away from Lin Feng. The fox spirit stood 20 meters away. Obviously, these 4 assassins had relied on the fox spirit's extraordinary methods to quietly approach Lin Feng. They wanted to launch a killing blow on Lin Feng. However, after they were enveloped by Lin Feng's haki magnetic field, they took the initiative to appear. Kill! The 4 assassins shouted coldly at the same time. They were already very close to Lin Feng. Moreover, the 4 of them were besieging Lin Feng together, so the 4 assassins were quite confident that they could kill Lin Feng. Assassins actually had a very good habit of killing people. They were used to assassinating their targets. They did not fight openly with their targets. The reason was that assassins cultivated assassination techniques. And assassination techniques were characterized by sneak attacks. While the other party was unprepared, he stabbed the other party to death. According to the usual practice, the 4 of them should have retreated after being exposed. What Lin Feng had to deal with was not 4 hands, but 4 people. Moreover, they were standing in front, behind, left, and right of Lin Feng. How could Lin Feng alone contend with their attacks? Even the fox spirit who was casting the illusion in the distance felt that Lin Feng would undoubtedly die. Therefore, when the 4 assassins and the fox spirit looked at Lin Feng, it was as if they were looking at a dead man. Just as the 4 assassins rushed toward Lin Feng began to use the troop's true incantation. The 4 assassins were indeed powerful. Their encirclement was very terrifying. A little carelessness could lead to death in their hands. But Lin Feng was different. Lin Feng knew the troop's true incantation. This was what Lin Feng relied on. When Lin Feng's troop's true incantation was activated, the 4 assassins' cold swords that were originally aimed at Lin Feng were all reversed. They turned to assassinate themselves. The 4 assassins looked shocked. They did not expect such a thing to happen. At this time, Lin Feng had already started. Swish! With a flash of light, Lin Feng disappeared from his place. He used the instant movement divine ability. When he reappeared, he had already appeared in front of the assassin in front of him. Then Lin Feng used the divine finger and gently tapped the forehead of the assassin in front of him. Suddenly, a beam of light flew out and hit the forehead of the assassin in front of him. Puff! Blood spurted out. The assassin's body flew out upside down. Then, his body fell heavily to the ground, and his cold sword fell to the side. His eyes were wide open. Apparently, he died with grievances. Perhaps even until death, He did not expect that he would die like this. The other 3 assassins hurriedly put the cold swords in their hands into their storage rings. Lin Feng's means were so terrifying that it made them tremble in fear. You used the army mantra! The fox spirit looked at Lin Feng with an ugly expression. Lin Feng said indifferently, At least you have some knowledge. This kid is more difficult to deal with than we thought. Let's go and report this news to the higher-ups. Then, let them send more powerful cultivators to deal with this kid, the fox spirit said. The other 3 assassins nodded. Then, they wanted to leave. Lin Feng's face showed a sneer. He said, Don't you think it's too late to leave now? We want to leave. You can't stop us, the fox spirit said with a sneer. Obviously, she was very confident in her means. The fox spirit and the 3 assassins hid their figures. But soon, they found that they had entered a mysterious world. In this mysterious world, there were large forests, mountains, rivers, and so on. This was a small world. When a cultivator cultivated to the deity realm, he could gradually start to condense his own small world. But in reality, very few cultivators would condense a small world. There was a reason for this. First, condensing a small world would take a long time, which would delay one's cultivation. Secondly, although some minor worlds could increase a cultivator's combat power after condensing them out, most of the minor worlds that cultivators condensed out could only serve as storage spaces. If that were the case, they would be better off using storage rings to store items. That way, they would not have to waste so much time condensing out a minor world. In addition, even if condensing a small world could increase a cultivator's combat power, the increase in combat power was not as great as imagined. It was not as much as cultivating a few more powerful divine abilities to increase one's combat power. Therefore, very few people condensed their own small worlds. Lin Feng had condensed his own sovereign small world. Later, when Lin Feng had time, he would continue to condense his sovereign small world. The fox spirit and the other 3 assassins were very good at hiding. Lin Feng could not find them. So, Lin Feng directly took out his own small world and put them into his sovereign small world before they left. Lin Feng wanted to kill them in his sovereign small world. Chapter 45-69. The fox spirit and the 3 assassins were also experienced and knowledgeable people, so they instantly guessed the current situation. The fox spirit said with a gloomy expression, I didn't expect you to have condensed a small world. Lin Feng walked out of the void. He smiled and nodded, saying, You guys are very lucky because you are the first batch of cultivators to be killed by me in my small world. In fact, my small world is only in its initial stage and can't provide me with a strong combat strength. However, although it can't provide me with a strong combat strength, my perception in this small world has greatly increased. Therefore, in this small world, you guys have nowhere to hide, the fox spirit said. Lin Feng, do you really think that we have no way to deal with you? We assassins like to kill the other party in one blow. We found that there was no way to kill you in one blow, so we left. If it was a life and death battle, we still have the confidence to kill you, but this is not our style of doing things. If you are smart, you should know that letting us go now is the best choice. Lin Feng said. Let you guys go? Alright, give me the concealment technique you have learned and I will let you go. Lin Feng, you are forcing us, the fox spirit said with an ugly expression. The various powerful methods that these assassin organizations cultivated were absolutely not allowed to be leaked. Therefore, there were restrictions in their minds. If the various powerful methods that they cultivated were leaked, or when their souls were searched, in order to protect those secrets, those restrictions would take the initiative to destroy their souls. Therefore, it was naturally impossible for Lin Feng to ask them to reveal the concealment technique. Let's join hands and kill him, an assassin said. Lin Feng, since you are courting death, then we will fulfill your wish. The fox spirit looked coldly at Lin Feng. She knew that since Lin Feng had asked them to tell him about their concealment techniques, they had to be careful. Lin Feng had already chosen to fight to the death with them. So much nonsense. If you want to fight, then kill, Lin Feng said with a sneer. Dragon form! Tiger leap! Eagle strike! The three assassins shouted coldly. They quickly rushed towards Lin Feng. The first killer turned into a giant dragon. Second place. The killer transformed into a ferocious tiger. The third life killer transformed into an eagle. In fact, what they were using was the combined attack of the four beasts. The four vicious combined attack technique was a top-notch combination attack passed down from the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty. The complete combination attack should be Dragon Form, Tiger Leap, Eagle Strike, and Leopard Kill. However, previously, Lin Feng had killed an assassin. Therefore, there were only 3 people left on their side. As such, he could only use Dragon Form, Tiger Leap, and Eagle Strike. Naturally, its power would be greatly reduced. Of course. Although its power had been greatly reduced, it was still very terrifying. 1,000 Phantoms! At this time, the Fox Spirit also used a powerful divine ability. This Fox Demon was proficient in auxiliary divine arts. For example, when he used 1,000 Illusions, Lin Feng had the impression an endless number of images were appearing in front of his eyes. Some of the scenes were of enemies attacking. Some of the scenes were of beautiful women dancing with charming bodies. Some of the scenes were of evil spirits, fierce beasts, ghosts, and other things pouncing on him. The 1,000 illusions that the Fox Spirit used was very confusing. It was to make people fall into an illusion, and then when the opportunity for the other 3 assassins to get close to Lin Feng. When the other 3 assassins arrived, they could use a sure kill blow. At that time, Lin Feng would only have a dead end. But obviously these people still underestimated Lin Feng's means. Facing their attack, Lin Feng directly condensed a ball of flame with the 6 heavenly fires. Then, he released the ball of flame. Boom, accompanied by the sound of an incomparably violent explosion. The ball of flame that Lin Feng released exploded instantly. The terrifying energy that could destroy heaven and earth instantly drowned the surroundings. The 1,000 illusions condensed by the Fox Spirit disappeared instantly. The 3 assassins who were hiding in the illusion also retreated in a panic. Although they had retreated very quickly, they were still blown away by the destructive energy formed when the ball of flame exploded. Wow! 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 The 3 assassins vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Their faces were as pale as paper. Their bodies had all suffered different degrees of injuries. However, these people all had top-grade healing pills. They hurriedly took some healing pills and recovered a lot of their injuries. You are much stronger than I thought, but it's still useless. You still can't escape death. As soon as his voice fell, Lin Feng took out the Hou-Yi Bao and the sun-shot divine arrow. Not good, it's the Hou-Yi Bao and the sun-shot divine arrow. Everyone be careful. The Fox Spirit couldn't help but exclaim. The 4 quickly released their defensive magic treasures. At this time, Lin Feng pulled the bow and shot an arrow. Whoosh! The sun-shot divine arrow flew out quickly and arrived in front of an assassin in an instant. The defensive magic treasure that this assassin brought out was a shield with a very powerful defense. However, the sun-slaying divine arrow instantly pierced through the defensive shield and pierced through the assassin's head. Then, the sun-shot divine arrow changed its direction and aimed at Lin Feng. Lin Feng grabbed the sun-shot divine arrow and continued to shoot. He locked onto the second assassin. Whoosh! The sun-shot divine arrow flew out again. The power of the sun-shot divine arrow was simply unimaginable. It instantly pierced through the void. Then, it arrived in front of the second assassin. The second assassin's defensive magic treasure was also pierced through. Puff! Then, the sound of penetration was heard. The second assassin was also killed by the sun-shot divine arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow then flew back to Lin Feng's hand. Lin Feng now only had 1 sun-shot divine arrow. If the rest of the sun-shot divine arrows were also in his hands, he could get rid of these guys with just 1 pull of the bow. There was no need to shoot multiple times. Lin Feng pulled the bow and shot another arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow flew out for the third time. This time, it locked onto the third assassin. The third assassin's face was ugly. He took the initiative to activate his defensive magic treasure and flew toward the sun-shot divine arrow. Meanwhile, he used the concealment technique and hid in the void. He wanted to use this method to block the attack of the sun-shot divine arrow. Lin Feng's face revealed a sneer. This guy was too whimsical. He was underestimating the sun-shot divine arrow too much. Once locked onto by the sun-shot divine arrow, no matter how hard he tried to hide, he would be discovered by the sun-shot divine arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow locked onto the opponent's aura and would always follow the opponent. It could even change its direction at will. This was the terrifying part of the sun-shot divine arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow pierced through the third assassin's defensive magic treasure. Then, it flew to the left as fast as lightning. It seemed that the third assassin must be hiding on the left side of his original position. The sun-shot divine arrow locked onto his aura, so it changed its original flight path. Puff. Chapter 4570. The three assassins were directly killed by Lin Feng with the sun-shooting divine arrow. Now, only the fox spirit was left. Her face turned pale. The battle prowess that Lin Feng displayed was too terrifying. And obviously, frontal combat was not the combat style that these assassins were good at. In fact, the assassins in these assassin organizations would often assassinate the strong as the weak. And it was easy to succeed. The reason why they could do this was that these assassins were good at killing and concealment techniques. But now, the killing and concealment techniques lost their effect in front of Lin Feng. Their killing techniques were restrained by Lin Feng's Bing mantra. Their concealment techniques were restrained by Lin Feng's domineering magnetic field. So, Lin Feng was the nemesis of these assassins. There was only one way for these assassins to deal with Lin Feng. If their attack failed, they would immediately escape. Besides this method, there was no other way. But obviously, it was too late to say anything now. I am willing to submit. Young master, please spare my life on account that I am a weak woman and have some beauty. I am willing to serve young master well. At this time, the fox spirit suddenly said in a delicate voice. She was a member of the nine-tailed Arctic fox clan. She was born beautiful and charming. So, at this moment, she was begging Lin Feng for mercy in a delicate and pitiful manner. Lin Feng was moved by compassion. Moreover, Lin Feng was also very curious about this blood prison assassin dynasty. Since this assassin dynasty had their eyes on him, then, in the next period of time, it might not be peaceful. If he could plant some spies in the blood prison assassin dynasty, it would also be good for him. Thinking of this, Lin Feng nodded. He said, Good. Since you are so sensible, then I will take you as a maid. Now make an oath of loyalty to me. Hearing this, the vixen began to swear. I, Su Ruyan, am willing to swear on my soul that I am willing to be loyal and devoted to Lin Feng and Lin Gongzi. I will absolutely not dare to be disloyal to Lin Gongzi. If I am disloyal to Lin Gongzi, I will be struck by lightning, my soul will be shattered, and I will die a horrible death. After the vixen made the vow, Lin Feng immediately felt an oath rune forming in his mind. This vixen's every move could not be hidden from Lin Feng. Your name is Su Ruyan? Lin Feng asked. Yes, said the fox spirit. Not bad, not bad, this name is very nice, the name is very nice, the person is also very beautiful, Lin Feng said with a smile. Lin Feng was in a good mood after taking in such a beautiful maid who could charm the world. Lin Feng asked. How long have you been in the blood prison assassin dynasty? Su Ruyan said. Reporting to young master, this servant has been in the blood prison assassin dynasty since childhood. Oh? So your ancestors should be in the upper echelon of the blood prison assassin dynasty, right? Lin Feng asked. Su Ruyan shook her head and said, That's not the case. The blood prison assassin dynasty will look for some extremely talented children. After finding them, they will use all kinds of methods to kidnap these children and then train them from childhood. This servant can't remember clearly what happened when I was young. This servant's memory starts from the assassin training camp. Hearing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a slightly surprised expression. It seemed that Su Ruyan had a rather tragic childhood. After all, the training camp established by the Assassin Dynasty must be extremely cruel. The assassins trained by the Assassin Dynasty could only be loyal to the dynasty and couldn't betray it. Moreover, the orders issued by the Assassin Dynasty couldn't be disobeyed. Otherwise, only death would await. No one could escape the control of the Assassin Dynasty. Of course, Su Ruyan knew that if the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty found out that she had sought refuge with Lin Feng, only death would await her. However, if she didn't seek refuge with Lin Feng, she might be killed by Lin Feng later. Since she was going to die anyway, the sooner she died, the better. How much do you know about the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty? Lin Feng asked. Su Ruyan smiled bitterly and said, Actually, this servant is still not an assassin of the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty. Oh? Not an assassin of the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty? What do you mean? Lin Feng asked in surprise. Su Ruyan said, This servant is still an apprentice assassin. The 4 people who were killed just now were also apprentice assassins. This time, we came to assassinate young master. This is the assessment mission. If we succeed in killing young master, we will complete the assessment. In this way, we can become real assassins. But young master is omnipotent. We failed. What happened after you failed? What will happen when you go back? Lin Feng asked. Su Ruyan said, After the failure, we will be idle for a period of time. During this time, the people of Assassin Dynasty will investigate why we failed. If we are suspected, we will be cut into pieces. Death by 1,000 cuts was also known as death by 1,000 cuts. It was an extremely cruel punishment. Lin Feng said, So, you don't know much about the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty? Su Ruyan said, Yes, young master. However, the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty is very scary. In the past, even the 7th Heavenly Emperor was killed by the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty. Hearing this, Lin Feng showed an extremely shocked expression. This Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty was really powerful. Even the 7th Heavenly Emperor was killed by them. It was hard to imagine how powerful this Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty was. The depth of such a force's foundation was not something that ordinary people could speculate. Lin Feng said, I want you to infiltrate the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty. Then help me inquire about the power distribution of the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty. Su Ruyan had long known that this would be her fate, so she nodded with a pale face and replied, Yes. She sighed in her heart, but she didn't know what would happen if the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty found out that she was a traitor. Perhaps, when the time came, the punishment would be even more painful than being cut into pieces? Thinking of this, Su Ruyan couldn't help but feel a deep sense of fear in her heart. At this time, Su Ruyan heard Lin Feng say, Now that you have recognized me as your master, there is a karmic relationship between you and me. If you go back like this, if the higher-ups investigate, you may not be able to pass. At that time, you will be discovered by them. But you don't have to worry. I will use the Great Fate technique to change all the karmic relationships between you and me. No matter how they investigate you, they won't be able to find anything suspicious. You can stay in the Blood Prison Assassin Dynasty without worry. Hearing this, Su Ruyan was overjoyed. She quickly thanked Lin Feng. I control the Tao of Fate. I will change your fate. Those who believe in me will be immortal. Those who believe in me will have eternal life. The great power of fate come. Chapter 4571. When Lin Feng's voice faded. The power of fate condensed. The powerful power of fate fell from the sky and poured into Su Ruyan's body. Su Ruyan immediately felt the power of fate flowing in her body like a gurgling stream. The power of fate enveloped her body like warm sunlight. This feeling was far too comfortable. It made Su Ruyan have the urge to moan softly. Fortunately, Serene resisted this feeling. If she really couldn't help but make a sound, it would be too embarrassing. Lin Feng's expression remained unchanged. He was still wholeheartedly controlling the flow of the power of fate in Surene's body. Half an hour later, Lin Feng showed a relieved expression. He looked at Surene's beautiful face and said, "Okay. You don't have to worry about the people of the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty discovering our relationship." Hearing this, Sureen couldn't help but show a happy expression. Of course, Sureen didn't want to die. She wanted to live a good life. Originally, she thought that returning to the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty as a spy was a dead end. Now, she finally didn't have to worry about this matter. Moreover, Sureen couldn't help but admire Lin Feng because Lin Feng's means were too terrifying. He could even change people's fate. Sureen suddenly thought of Lin Feng's father, who was known as the person favored by fate and controlled the bloodline of fate. As the son of Lin Beitian, did her master also control the bloodline of fate? Perhaps becoming her master's maid would be quite a good thing. Immediately, Sureen thought of the words she said to Lin Feng before. Her pretty face couldn't help but blush slightly. Would her master let her sleep with him? Lin Feng didn't know what Sureen was thinking. He continued, "If there is nothing particularly important, you don't have to contact me. But if you find something important after entering the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty, you have to tell me. In addition, when you find out the background of the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty, you have to report to me in a timely manner." "Yes, this slave will remember," Su Ryu hurriedly replied. "You have to take good care of yourself in the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty," Lin Feng said. Su Ryu was slightly taken aback. She didn't think that Lin Feng would actually care about her. She was just a servant. Su Ruyan had never expected anyone in this world to care about her. When they were in the assassin training camp, these trainee assassins only had suspicion and killing. Where was the slightest bit of humanity? Not to mention caring for each other. After acknowledging Lin Feng as her master, Su Ruyan had never asked for such extravagant things. In Su Ruyan's view, she was merely Lin Feng's tool. A tool. How could he be qualified to receive master's concern? But now, Su Ruyan felt that she was not just a tool. In front of the master. Perhaps he was alone. Su Ruyan's charming eyes were filled with tears. Next, tears flowed out of her eyes. Lin Feng said, "Why are you crying?" "I'm most afraid of women crying." Su Ruyan quickly wiped away her tears. At this moment, she was actually looking forward to it in her heart. At this time, Lin Feng said, "Go back and report. Be careful on the road." "Yes," Su Ruyan responded. There was a sense of loss in her heart for no reason. After Lin Feng and Su Ruyan came out of the sovereign small world, Su Ruyan also left with Lin Feng. After leaving the black market, all the illusions disappeared. The streets were bustling with people coming and going. Su Ruyan took a deep look at Lin Feng in the distance. She bit her lip slightly. There was a bit of bitterness in her charming eyes. Then she quickly left. Lin Feng naturally didn't know the emotional fluctuations in Su Ruyan's inner world. Lin Feng planned to return to his residence. At this time, there were many people around the corner of the street in front. He didn't know what had happened. Lin Feng walked over. He squeezed through the crowd and saw a young girl around 13 or 14 years old and a little girl around 5 or 6 years old kneeling on the ground. Then, there was a wooden board in front of them. On the board there were the words "Sell yourself to bury your mother." Although the young girl was young, her appearance was very pure and lovely. The little girl was also very cute. However, they were a bit thin, obviously due to malnutrition. Poor Miss Wu. Her father died early, and now her mother died of illness. What a good family it was, but it was destroyed just like that. Some people couldn't help but sigh. "Move aside, all of you move aside!" At this time, a loud shout was heard. Then, a group of more than a dozen guards separated the surrounding people. Then, a young master walked in. "It's Yuan Hua. This guy's uncle is the commander of the Sacred Army, And also the Vice City Lord of Sin City. This guy is a second-generation rich kid. This guy has done all kinds of bad things. Kidnapping women, forcing women into prostitution. What hasn't he done? Some people whispered. Yo, this little girl looks pretty good. A 13 or 14-year-old little beauty, so tender that water can be pinched out. This young master likes this kind of little girl. And this little thing, although she is young, her little face is quite pretty. After a few years of raising her, she will become a delicate little beauty. Men bring this pair of sisters to the residence. Tonight this young master wants to be the bridegroom. Yuan Hua immediately laughed evilly. Many people cursed this person in their hearts. In Sin City, there was a limerick. Sin City's young master, Yuan Ziyu. Once every 3 days, he will be the bridegroom. If only the heavens had eyes. Send down divine lightning to strike him to death. This Yuan Ziyu referred to Yuan Hua. Although Yuan Hua wasn't a good person, he liked to pretend to be cultured. Thus, he imitated scholars and gave himself a nickname. His name was Yuan Hua. Nickname Ziyu. Thus, he called himself Yuan Ziyu. Of course, the contents of this limerick were just wishful thinking for many people. The heavens wouldn't really send down divine lightning to strike Yuan Hua to death. Young master, we can go back with you, but please bury our mother, the girl said. If she's dead, so be it. Find someone to throw her into the forest outside and feed her to the wild beasts, Yuan Hua said with a cold smile. His subordinates pounced on the girl and the little girl. Big sister, I'm afraid. The little girl trembled in fear. Tonger, don't be afraid. Big sister will protect you. The girl hugged her little sister. A cultivator had already arrived in front of the two sisters and reached out to grab the girl. Although the girl said she wanted to protect her little sister, she didn't have the ability to do so. She was just comforting her little sister. At this moment, the girl looked at the cultivator reaching for her with a frightened expression. Chapter 4572. The person who grabbed the cultivator's wrist was none other than Lin Feng. What Lin Feng couldn't stand the most was others bullying the old, weak, women and children. These people in front of him actually bullied a pair of little sisters like this. How could Lin Feng just watch and not do anything? If that was the case, then he wouldn't be Lin Feng. A real man has to do and not do. When a man encounters injustice in this world, he will be furious and blood will splatter in 5 steps. So, when it was time to make a move, Lin Feng had always been fearless. If he really provoked someone he couldn't afford to offend, it didn't matter. Just run. It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. And obviously, Lin Feng didn't think that he couldn't afford to offend these people in front of him. Look! Someone has made a move! A cultivator exclaimed. This kid is too reckless. I'm afraid he doesn't know the other party's identity. Now that he has made a move, he will definitely anger Yuan Hua. At that time, he will definitely not be able to bear the consequences. That's right, Yuan Hua is not a kind person. Now, this kid who came out of nowhere actually dares to interfere in Yuan Hua's affairs. Isn't this courting death? Some cultivators began to discuss, looking at Lin Feng with pity. They knew Yuan Hua's character too well. Knowing how vicious and merciless Yuan Hua was, Lin Feng shouldn't have interfered in this matter. But now, it was extremely difficult to escape. Perhaps if he apologized to Yuan Hua, he might be able to get Yuan Hua's forgiveness. The girl looked at the little brother who had made a move in a daze. Then, her eyes revealed a look of hope. She naturally knew that she had met a good person. Today, the little girl curled up in the girl's arms and watched everything that was happening outside. For someone of her age, the world of adults was very complicated. Kid, are you looking for a beating? The cultivator whose wrist was grabbed by Lin Feng looked at Lin Feng angrily, his eyes filled with coldness. Slap! However, just as his voice fell, Lin Feng had already let go of his wrist, and then moved as fast as lightning. Before the cultivator could react, a slap had already landed on the cultivator's face. The cultivator was directly sent flying by Lin Feng. His face was smashed by Lin Feng. He fell to the ground with a plop, his body twitched a few times, and then he fainted. Heavens, that kid is so powerful? That cultivator is at least above the Emperor realm, but he was sent flying with just a slap. Many people started whispering to each other when they saw Lin Feng's incredible strength. Others felt that Lin Feng would not be able to escape this calamity. Someone even secretly transmitted a message to Lin Feng, telling him to leave quickly and not meddle in other people's business, lest he got himself involved. Of course, the other party had good intentions, but Lin Feng did not leave. Kid, you've got guts. You even dared to touch my people. Are you tired of living? Yuan Hua's expression immediately turned ugly. He looked at Lin Feng with a gloomy expression, and his voice was filled with killing intent. As the saying went, before beating a dog, one had to look at its master. Lin Feng had beaten his people to such a state. In Yuan Hua's opinion, Lin Feng was not giving him any face at all. Yuan Hua immediately wanted to kill Lin Feng. Scram! Lin Feng looked coldly at Yuan Hua. His eyes were cold. When he heard Lin Feng's cold shout, Yuan Hua's expression changed. Yuan Hua's expression immediately became extremely ugly. Lin Feng actually dared to tell him to scram in front of so many people. He did not put him, Yuan Hua, in his eyes at all. The surrounding cultivators who were watching the show were dumbfounded. They could not believe what they had just heard. Lin Feng actually dared to tell Yuan Hua to scram. In everyone's opinion, Lin Feng's cultivation was not bad, but compared to Yuan Hua's group, he was still far from it. Lin Feng was just an outsider, but Yuan Hua was a local snake. Even a strong dragon could not suppress a local snake. Moreover, everyone did not think that Lin Feng was a strong dragon. Therefore, when Lin Feng told Yuan Hua to scram, everyone knew that the grudge between the two sides had been completely formed. Yuan Hua would definitely not let Lin Feng go. Many people felt that Lin Feng was too impulsive. Youth was sometimes a kind of capital, but young cultivators were often impulsive. Once they were impulsive, they would do things that were unpredictable. For example, what Lin Feng was doing now was unpredictable. Moreover, he had caused a big trouble. Everyone knew that Lin Feng was completely finished this time. Do it, don't kill him directly. Capture him alive. This young master wants to torture this brat ruthlessly. I want him to kneel in front of me like a dog and beg me to spare his life, Yuan Hua said with a gloomy expression. After hearing Yuan Hua's order, a group of people rushed towards Lin Feng. The cultivators who followed Yuan Hua had a high cultivation. Each of them looked fierce. They looked at Lin Feng with cold and murderous eyes. Just when everyone thought that Lin Feng was definitely finished, a terrifying aura exuded from Lin Feng's body. That aura spread out in all directions, and that terrifying aura suppressed each and every cultivator. Bang, bang, bang! Accompanied by a series of violent collisions, the cultivators who rushed towards Lin Feng felt as if they were struck by lightning. Those cultivators all suffered extremely serious injuries. The sound of bones cracking could be heard from their bodies. They vomited large mouthfuls of blood in midair. They fell to the ground motionlessly. No one knew if they were dead or alive. After seeing this scene, the surroundings instantly became silent. The onlookers looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a young saint emperor. Everyone's face was filled with disbelief. This was too inconceivable. Lin Feng didn't even make a move. He only released a little of his aura. So many experts were sent flying by the impact. Among the experts who were sent flying, there was no lack of Emperor Realm experts. However, they couldn't even withstand Lin Feng's aura. It was simply too inconceivable. It was simply too shocking. Who is he? What is his strength? Doubts appeared in everyone's mind. Everyone was guessing Lin Feng's identity, Lin Feng's strength, and so on. Kneel! Lin Feng looked at Yuan Hua indifferently. When his eyes met Lin Feng's, Yuan Hua was so scared that his whole body trembled. He didn't need Lin Feng to release his aura. He was already scared out of his wits. With a plop, he knelt on the ground. Too domineering. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Now they finally understood why Lin Feng ignored Yuan Hua. It was because Lin Feng was too strong. Moreover, Lin Feng's style of doing things was extremely domineering. However, this kind of domineering made people's blood boil. Chapter 4573. My uncle is the Vice City Lord of Sinful City. If you dare to harm me, my uncle won't let you go. Yuan Hua's voice was trembling. He was extremely afraid. He was afraid that Lin Feng would treat him the same way he was treated by others. Being beaten like that was worse than death. Your uncle? A mere vice commander of the Sacred Legion? What is he in my eyes? Lin Feng said sarcastically. He was very arrogant. His words were full of contempt and disdain for Yuan Hua's uncle. He didn't put Yuan Hua's uncle in his eyes at all. After hearing Lin Feng's arrogant words, many people couldn't help but mutter. Lin Feng was too arrogant. However, Lin Feng did have the qualifications to be arrogant. Such a young cultivator with such terrifying strength. This meant that Lin Feng was very likely to have a monstrous force behind him. Even if he didn't have a monstrous force, he should have a rogue cultivator as his master. Otherwise, how could Lin Feng be so overbearing? Yuan Hua originally wanted to use his uncle to scare Lin Feng, but when he saw that Lin Feng wasn't afraid of his uncle, he opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. At this time, Lin Feng said, "Don't you like to harm women? How about this? I won't kill you, but I will make you unable to be a man for the rest of your life." After hearing Lin Feng's words, Yuan Hua's face turned as white as paper. Making him unable to be a man for the rest of his life was worse than killing him. No, please don't do this to me. I was wrong. I will repent and change my ways. I will be a good person. Please don't cripple me. Yuan Hua loudly begged Lin Feng for mercy, but Lin Feng didn't care. He kicked Yuan Hua's crotch. The power of this kick was terrifying. After receiving Lin Feng's powerful kick, Yuan Hua screamed like a pig being slaughtered. His body couldn't help but violently tremble. Yuan Hua's face turned the color of a pig's liver. Lin Feng's kick had been too powerful, and Yuan Hua's cultivation had been crippled. From now on, the world had one more eunuch and one less man. Yuan Hua's body directly fell to the ground and violently twitched. He was foaming at the mouth. He directly fainted. Many people couldn't help but tighten their pants. If a man became a eunuch, then what was the point of living? Lin Feng had crippled Yuan Hua's cultivation, so Lin Feng would rather kill him than cripple Yuan Hua's cultivation. "Let's go, take me to see your mother," Lin Feng said. "Thank you, big brother." "Thank you." The girl looked gratefully at Lin Feng. This handsome big brother in front of her made her want to cry. The girl stretched out her hand, then looked up at Lin Feng and asked, "Big brother, can you hug me?" "Of course," Lin Feng said with a smile. He held the girl in his arms and then left with her. Everyone looked at Lin Feng in awe. Only a fierce dragon would cross the river. However, everyone knew that Yuan Hua's uncle wouldn't let this matter rest. After all, Yuan Hua's uncle was the deputy city lord of Sin City and held great power. Now Yuan Hua was crippled. How could Yuan Hua's uncle not be angry? Everyone was quietly waiting for the development of the situation. Lin Feng didn't care about this matter at all, unless a true immortal expert came. Otherwise, any expert who came to Lin Feng's place would be courting death. On the way, Lin Feng talked with the girl and found out that her name was Ichi Suner. Her younger sister was called Ichi Tonger. The surname Ichi was relatively rare. Lin Feng didn't recall meeting anyone with this surname. In the early years, Ichi Suner had a happy family, but everything changed later on. This matter could be traced back to 4 years ago. At that time, Ichi Suner had just been born, and Ichi Tonger was only 1 year old. Her father was forcefully recruited by the Sacred Army, but no one knew what he was going to do. Later on, her father died. The members of the Sacred Army symbolically compensated him with 100 ordinary origin crystals. In the Undying Realm, Ordinary origin crystals didn't have much value. In the early years, Ichisuna's family had a shop and a courtyard. However, after her father died, the shop was taken away by Ichisuna's uncle and aunt. As a result, the family's life became difficult. Ichisuna's mother was so sad that she contracted an illness. She passed away 3 days ago. Ichisuna took her sister to find her uncle. She hoped that her uncle could bury her mother, but the 2 sisters were chased out. They had no choice but to sell their bodies to bury their mother. Hungry! Tonga lay on Lin Feng's shoulder. When she saw the steamed buns, she immediately swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Her big round eyes stared at the steamed buns. She hadn't eaten for a few days and was starving. Lin Feng rubbed Tonga's head. Then he walked to the steamed bun shop and bought a bag of steamed buns. Tonga took a bite of the steamed bun, and her big eyes suddenly turned into crescents. She was very cute and beautiful. Although she was young, she was very sensible. However, she suffered a pain that she shouldn't have to endure at her age. Ichisuna held the bag and ate the steamed bun while crying. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. The 2 sisters were really too pitiful. He patted Ichisuna's head and told her to look on the bright side. Things would get better in the future. After Tonga ate her fill, she lay in Lin Feng's arms and fell asleep. She was really exhausted these past few days. After finding a warm embrace, sleepiness swept over her, and she naturally couldn't hold on any longer. Lin Feng followed Ichisuna to her house. The courtyard of Ichisuna's house wasn't very big. However, the location was not bad. It was close to the city center. It seemed that before Ichisuna's father died, her family had been living a good life. However, when Lin Feng and Ichisuna arrived, they saw a group of people coming out. The leader was a man who looked to be in his 50s and a tall and heavy woman. A few other people were carrying a corpse, and they wrapped the corpse in sheets. Mother! Ichisuna saw her mother's corpse being carried out and immediately ran over. The woman put her hands on her waist and said, "You little tch, you came at the right time. This is our Ichi family's ancestral house. Now that your parents are dead, we have to take back what our ancestors left behind." The woman's expression was cold. Then she waved her hand and said, "Return the corpse to the little tch." Chapter 4574. Mother, mother! She cried. Ichisuna knelt beside her mother's corpse and wept bitterly. Tonga, who was sleeping in Lin Feng's arms, woke up when she heard her sisters crying. Seeing her mother's body thrown on the street, the little girl burst into tears. She struggled to get down and ran to her mother's corpse. She knelt beside her mother's corpse and wept with her sister. Many people in the area were alarmed. What a good family, but in the end, they ended up with a broken family. That's right. The parents of these 2 children are very kind people. Good people don't have good karma. The 2 little girls' uncles and aunts really aren't good people. Back then, they took over their family's shop. If their family still had a shop back then, they wouldn't have delayed Ichisura's treatment. That way, Ichisura wouldn't have left the 2 children behind and passed away. That's right. Ichi's illness was caused by dragging things out. Otherwise, she would have recovered long ago. Now, these 2 people even want to snatch this house away. Moreover, they want to drive the 2 sisters out. Without a place to stay, I'm afraid they won't have a good ending. That's right. Look at how beautiful they are. Who knows how many people want to harm them? What a torment. So many good families are being destroyed just like that. Some of the neighbors started discussing. A bunch of shameless old people. Why aren't you scramming? Is this a place for you old people to watch a show? The shrew heard some people's discussion and immediately cursed loudly. Her eyes flashed with viciousness. Many people were cursed and scolded. However, the shrew was famous for being tough, so the neighbors who were watching the show didn't dare say anything. The shrew looked at the 2 sisters who were crying beside their mother's corpse. She cursed loudly. Little bitch, cry, 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 cry. If you want to cry, go cry somewhere else. Don't cry in front of my house. Bang! Just as the woman's voice fell, a muffled bang was suddenly heard, and the woman was sent flying with a kick. The person who sent the shrew flying with a kick was none other than Lin Feng. Under normal circumstances, Lin Feng wouldn't make a move on women. However, this B*TCH in front of him was so despicable that if he didn't teach her a lesson, he would feel sorry for the heavens. Lin Feng had already reached the end of his patience. Therefore, he walked up and gave the shrew a kick. With a kick, he sent the shrew flying. After seeing this scene, all the onlookers cheered loudly. If it wasn't for the fact that they didn't dare to offend this shrew, many people would have already rushed up to teach this shrew a lesson. He was kicked away by Lin Feng. This shrew was actually able to get up from the ground. It seemed that his physical fitness was not ordinary. After all, the Undying Realm was a world where everyone cultivated. The fierce woman's cultivation was extraordinary, so it was natural that she was not kicked to death by Lin Feng. You dare to hit me? Are you tired of living? The shrew picked herself up and began to curse. Wah! However, just after cursing Lin Feng, the shrew vomited a large mouthful of blood. Lin Feng looked at the shrew indifferently. The next moment, with a plop, the shrew fell to the ground and twitched a few times before becoming motionless. Lin Feng's kick just now was heavy enough. This shrew definitely wouldn't be able to withstand Lin Feng's kick. She was probably kicked to death by Lin Feng. Kid, who are you? How dare you meddle in other people's business? Cripple this kid for me. Ichi-Suna's uncle looked coldly at Lin Feng and ordered. After receiving the order, a few subordinates immediately pounced on Lin Feng like wolves and tigers. Lin Feng waved his hand casually. An invisible force swept towards the cultivators who pounced on him. Bang, 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 a series of dull sounds of impact could be heard as the cultivators were sent flying. Crack, crack. The sound of bones cracking could be heard one after another. The cultivators who pounced on Lin Feng didn't have a good ending. Many of their bones were broken. They fell to the ground and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Following that, their bodies twitched violently before they stopped moving completely. You! Ichi-Suna's uncle looked at Lin Feng in horror. He didn't expect Lin Feng to be so tyrannical. Kneel! Kneel in front of the corpse and kowtow to apologize, Lin Feng said in an unquestionable tone. Yes, I'll kneel. I'll kneel now. Ichi-Suna's uncle was scared out of his wits when he saw Lin Feng's cold and heartless eyes. How could he dare to disobey Lin Feng's words? With a plop, Ichi-Suna's uncle knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing to Ichi-Suna's mother's corpse. Sister-in-law, I was muddle-headed for a moment, and was bewitched by that wastrel. That's why I did such a heartless thing. Sister-in-law, please don't hold it against me for the sake of my brother. After complaining tearfully, Ichi-Suna's uncle looked at Ichi-Suna and said in a pleading tone, Suna, help me put in a few good words in front of that young hero. I was blinded by lard in the past. I'll definitely turn over a new leaf in the future. Ichi-Suna only felt disgust towards her uncle. However, Ichi-Suna was kind-hearted. She couldn't bear to see her uncle scared half to death. After all, blood was thicker than water. Big brother, please spare my uncle, Ichi-Suna said. Ichi-Suna's uncle looked at Lin Feng with a pitiful look. This kind of person usually flaunted his power. However, when he met a powerful person, he would start to act pitiful and pitiful. Lin Feng had seen too many of such people. If he left, Ichi-Suna's uncle would definitely go from bad to worse. Ichi-Suna was too young and inexperienced. That was why she was deceived by her uncle. However, Lin Feng wouldn't. Forgive him? Sure. Lin Feng walked in front of Ichi-Suna's uncle and patted him gently. This pat. In 3 days, Ichi-Suna's uncle would be paralyzed. He wouldn't be able to speak. When the time came, he wouldn't be able to do anything bad. Lin Feng didn't kill this guy because he was giving face to Ichi-Suna. Hand over the title deeds of the 10 shops. Otherwise, I'll slaughter your whole family. Lin Feng sneered. Yes. I'll give them to you. Ichi-suna's uncle didn't dare to go against Lin Feng's words. He quickly took out 10 title deeds from his storage ring and handed them to Lin Feng. Scram! Lin Feng said coldly. Ichi-suna's uncle quickly got up. He didn't even check if his wife was alive or dead. He just ran away. Chapter 4575. Lin Feng helped the two sisters bury their mother's body in a cemetery. After the two sisters paid their respects to their deceased mother, Lin Feng followed them back home. Tong'er fell into a deep sleep. There were still traces of tears at the corners of her eyes. Her mother's death was a huge blow to her. Do you have any plans for the future? Lin Feng asked. Big brother, can you take me in? I can do anything. I'll definitely serve you well. Suna looked at Lin Feng with a pitiful expression. She wanted to stay by Lin Feng's side. She felt that Lin Feng was a kind-hearted person. Staying by Lin Feng's side would definitely be the best choice for her. If it were anyone else, such a beautiful girl would want to stay by their side. Who would be willing to refuse? However, that was not the case for Lin Feng. He still had many things to take care of, so he did not have the energy to take care of them. Moreover, Lin Feng had obtained the deeds to 10 shops for the two sisters. With these shops, the two sisters would be able to live very well in the future. Seeing Lin Feng hesitate, Sun-er cried. Sun-er suddenly looked like she was about to cry and said, Sun-er knows that my sister and I will be a burden to Big Brother. Sun-er doesn't dare to ask to stay by your side. Seeing Sun-er cry, Lin Feng's heart softened. After all, the two sisters were still young. If he really left them to live on their own in the capital of Sin, there might be some people with ulterior motives who wanted to snatch the deeds to the shops in their hands. He might as well sell the shops and exchange them for immortal stones. Then, he could temporarily send the two sisters to the Xia family village. Lin Feng could not help but smile bitterly in his heart. Not long ago, he had saved a pair of beautiful sisters. The pair of beautiful sisters looked at him with adoration and shyness. Clearly, these beautiful sisters had a secret crush on him. Now, Sun-er seemed to be the same. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. If a man was too outstanding, he would sometimes be troubled. After all, there would always be a large group of beautiful girls who liked him. Isn't there a saying that goes well? If a handsome young man saved a beautiful young lady, the beautiful young lady would say that she was willing to devote her life to him to repay the young master for saving her life. If an ugly man saved a beautiful girl, the beautiful girl would say that she was willing to be a cow or a horse in her next life to repay the young master's kindness. Look, they're both saving people, but why is the difference so big? To put it bluntly, the world of cultivators was a world where strength spoke. But most of the time, strength was not the only thing that mattered. This was still a world where looks mattered. How cruel! Lin Feng already had a plan in his heart, so he said, Since you're willing to follow me, then follow me. Big brother, did you agree? After hearing Lin Feng's words, Sun-er suddenly exclaimed, Yes. Lin Feng nodded. Sun-er is excited. While Lin Feng is not paying attention, she kisses Lin Feng on the cheek. After the kiss, she was suddenly at a loss. Her face is so red that it could bleed. She lowered her head, not daring to look at Lin Feng. Lin Feng is also slightly stunned. Then he bitterly smiled. This girl is really, Lin Feng does not know what to say. Although Lin Feng likes beautiful girls, Sun-er is indeed very beautiful. But she is too young. Lin Feng obviously does not have any thoughts about Sun-er. Sun-er does not dare to continue staying here. She ran away. Seeing Sun-er running away, Lin Feng can't help but mutter, Maybe I need to find time to have a good chat with Sun-er. At her age, she should focus on cultivation, not on other aspects. Late at night. Whoa! Lin Feng suddenly heard the sound of crying. He sat up on the bed. His surroundings are very quiet. The sound of crying has disappeared. He got up and walked out of the room. The silver moon outside is like a plate. The stars are dotted in the sky. Lin Feng estimated the time. It should be the middle of the night now. He stood in the courtyard, frowning slightly. What was with the crying just now? Was it a dream? Lin Feng does not feel like a dream. Because Lin Feng's willpower is very strong. Lin Feng rarely dreams, unless something special happened. Then he would dream. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is, if it was a dream, why does Lin Feng not have the slightest impression that it was a dream? After waking up from a dream, anyone would more or less have an impression and know that they were dreaming. However, Lin Feng is not like this. However, the crying just now was so real. Now, the crying has disappeared. It is as if the crying has never appeared. This is really strange. Maybe the problem is in Sun Er's courtyard. Lin Feng can't help but think of a possibility. The courtyard of Ichi Sun Er's house is not small. There are a total of 3 courtyards. This is the ancestral house. Could there be something left behind? Lin Feng is currently in the first courtyard. He walked toward the second courtyard. Because it is late at night, the surroundings are very quiet, except for the occasional chirping of insects. The second courtyard used to be where Sun Er's family lived, but Sun Er's parents passed away one after another. Sun Er and Tong are no longer willing to live in the second courtyard, so they moved to the first courtyard. The second courtyard is empty. There is nothing here. In the past few years, Sun Er's mother has been sick, so everything that can be sold in the house has been sold. Therefore, although the courtyard is not small, Lin Feng did not find anything after searching for a while. Lin Feng walked toward the third courtyard. The third courtyard is the ancestral hall. In fact, Lin Feng came here during the day. Lin Feng found someone to set up a memorial tablet for Sun Er's mother. Today, Sun Er and Tong replaced their mother's memorial tablet in the ancestral hall. During the day, Lin Feng didn't notice anything special about this place. When he came here at night, it is still the same. He did not find anything special. Lin Feng entered the ancestral hall and looked around. There are dozens of memorial tablets, all of which are the ancestors of the Ichi family. There was nothing in the ancestral hall. Lin Feng couldn't help but wonder if he was hallucinating. He turned and walked out of the ancestral hall. Suddenly the sound of crying came from the ancestral hall behind him. Lin Feng's footsteps immediately stopped. The crying coming from behind is exactly the same as the crying that Lin Feng heard when he was sleeping. Lin Feng is skilled and bold. He does not feel any fear. Even if there are evil ghosts, he is not afraid. If there were really ghosts and evil creatures, it should be those ghosts and evil creatures that were afraid of him. Lin Feng turned and returned to the ancestral hall. However, the crying came from the same place as before. There is nothing special. Chapter 4576. The problem lay in this ancestral hall. However, it wasn't easy to find the source of the problem. Lin Feng continued to search for the source of the crying in the ancestral hall, but he still couldn't find anything. How strange! Lin Feng opened his original strength. He hoped he could use his original strength to see through illusions. He wanted to find the source of the crying. However, when Lin Feng opened his eye of origin, he still couldn't find anything. What is it that's making the crying sound? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He continued to walk in the ancestral hall, thinking about this matter. However, just like before, he still couldn't find any clues. Finally, Lin Feng stopped in front of the main entrance of the ancestral hall. This was where the shrine was placed. In the center of the shrine, there was a statue of a god. On both sides of the shrine, there were many memorial tablets. Why would they place this statue on the shrine? Logically speaking, there's no need at all. They only need to place the ancestors' memorial tablet. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. The shrines and temples were usually places to place statues of gods. For example, Shinko Temple, Taishang Laojun Temple, Dragon King Temple, Mountain God Temple, and so on. On the shrines there were statues of the corresponding gods. However, the shrines in ancestral halls were different from the shrines in temples. The shrines and ancestral halls were usually used to place memorial tablets because the ancestral hall was a place to worship the ancestors. Therefore, no one would place statues of gods on the shrines and ancestral halls. This was disrespectful to their ancestors. Everyone knew about this. Could it be that Ichi-suna's ancestors didn't know? Lin Feng didn't think so. Assuming that Ichi-suna's ancestors knew about this, but they still placed a statue of a god on the shrine in the ancestral hall. This could only mean one thing. The statue of a god placed on the shrine was actually the ancestor of the Ichi family. However, Lin Feng was a little puzzled. Why didn't the Ichi family place the ancestor's memorial tablet on the shrine? Why did they place a statue of a god? This statue didn't say anything. It seemed to be a statue of a god with an unknown name. Could it be that the Ichi family was afraid of something? Therefore, that was why the Ichi family didn't dare set up a memorial tablet for their ancestor. However, the Ichi family wanted to offer sacrifices to that ancestor. So, he built a statue for that ancestor and placed it on top of the altar to replace that ancestor's memorial tablet? The more Lin Feng thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Who was this ancestor of the Ichi family? Even a memorial tablet could not be built for him. The Ichi family is a family passed down from the human clan. Could this expert be a very powerful expert of the human clan? Senior, I also have the bloodline of the human race. I am the heir to the oldest and most powerful bloodline of the human race. Lin Feng looked at the statue and said, if the statue had a spirit, perhaps it would respond to him. However, Lin Feng realized that the statue was ignoring him. Lin Feng did not give up. He tried to use his spiritual will to communicate with the statue. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. They communicated again and again. It all ended in failure. Lin Feng tried over 100 times. Finally, Lin Feng sensed something different. Vaguely, he sensed a special aura. Following that, Lin Feng felt as if there was a force pulling him into another world. He did not know how much time had passed. Lin Feng discovered he had really come to an ancient and vast world. In this world, there was a desolate aura everywhere. In this world, berserk beasts ran rampant. Moreover, the berserk beasts in this world were abnormally huge and ferocious. Many berserk beasts rushed into the villages and tribes, devouring the people and livestock of the villages and tribes. This era is obviously the era of tribes. It seems that this is still the early era. Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. This world was very dangerous. Lin Feng saw too many villages and tribes destroyed by the powerful berserk beasts. Until this day, Lin Feng saw a huge army. That was an army led by a human expert. This army went deep into the jungle and began to besiege all kinds of berserk beasts. Berserk beasts such as Swanee, Chiseltooth, Nine-Headed Snakelet Gale, and Snake Shio were all famous existences in this world. These berserk beasts were ferocious by nature. No one knew what kind of shocking slaughter they had caused. Now, under the siege of the human army, Swanee, Chiseltooth, Nine-Headed Snakelet Gale, Snake Shio, and other berserk beasts were killed one after another. Woo woo woo! The horn of war sounded. In the depths of the jungle lived an ancient race. These races could control berserk beasts. Swanee, Chiseltooth, Nine-Headed Snakelet Gale, Snake Shio, and other berserk beasts were all reared by these ancient races in the depths of the jungle. They treated humans as food. Now, the humans had launched a counterattack. Therefore, the core forces of both sides finally began the final battle. The leader of the humans was called Yao. This was a young but wise leader of the human race. This human leader was very extraordinary. For example, he built rivers and cultivated farmland in the human territory. For example, he divided the year into 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Yao led the human army to fight against the ancient race and berserk beast army in the depths of the jungle. This was a war for the survival of the races. This war was extremely tragic. However, under the leadership of Yao, the humans defeated the ancient race and berserk beast army. The ancient race and berserk beast army suffered heavy losses. In the end, they had no choice but to submit. Of course, the humans also suffered heavy losses. Fortunately, the humans won. The ancient race and the human race signed an agreement. The ancient race would forever live in the depths of the jungle, and would never come out to harm the human world again. Since then, the human race had obtained peace for a long time. This period of time was also one of the fastest periods of human development in history. During this period of time, the human race belonged to the innate human race. For example, the celestial race, immortal race, saint race, deity race, and other innate human races were united. These innate humans all called Yao, Emperor Yao. After seeing this, Lin Feng was extremely shocked. Emperor Yao. This was the ancient saint emperor of the human race. He was the ancient saint emperor before Emperor Shun. He was one of the 5 emperors of the human race. There were also records of Emperor Yao in the Classic of Mountains and Seas. Chapter of the Classic of Mountains and Seas. During Yao's time, he led an army to kill Swanee, Chiseltooth, 9-headed snakelet, Gale, Snake Xiao, and other berserk beasts. Later, he fought against the ancient race of the jungle and won. The people were very grateful to Yao and supported him as the son of heaven. Chapter 4577. Emperor Yao. This expert. It's actually Emperor Yao. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. Emperor Yao was one of the 5 emperors, one of the oldest holy emperors of the human race. His strength was unimaginable. Of course, in that era, there were still some experts of the human race who could compete with the holy emperor. They could even surpass the holy emperor. But those people were not the holy emperor. This was because any holy emperor of the human race had made an indelible contribution to the human race. They were respected by the human race as the holy emperor, and not self-proclaimed as the holy emperor. The human race did not agree to self-proclaimed as the holy emperor. It would simply be a joke. Even if their strength reached the level of the holy emperor of the human race, or even surpassed the level of the holy emperor of the human race. But if they did not make a great contribution to the human race, they still could not become the holy emperor. Ichi was Emperor Yao's surname. This was the first time Lin Feng had heard of Emperor Yao's surname. In that case, Ichi Sun and Ichi Tong were both descendants of Emperor Yao? This made Lin Feng extremely surprised. But now it seemed that Emperor Yao's lineage, it had also completely declined. Unless someone could awaken the ancestral blood, perhaps there was still hope to restore the glory of the ancestors. Or else, Emperor Yao's lineage would be completely annihilated in a few years. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt that his divine consciousness seemed to be about to leave this world. The next moment, after a moment of dizziness, Lin Feng's divine consciousness returned to his body. He found that he was still standing in the ancestral hall, and in front of him was the shrine in the ancestral hall. Lin Feng looked at the statue of Emperor Yao. Kacha kacha! At this moment, the statue of Emperor Yao began to crack. Not long after, the statue of Emperor Yao completely cracked. Then, something rolled down from the cracked statue. Lin Feng looked at the thing that rolled down from the statue of Emperor Yao. His face suddenly revealed a surprised expression. The thing that rolled down from the statue of Emperor Yao was actually a small puppet. A human-shaped puppet. It was surrounded by divine power. This human-shaped puppet was a woman. The sobbing sound from before was the sobbing sound of a woman. Could it be that the sobbing sound from before came from this little puppet? This little puppet was sealed inside Emperor Yao's statue. It was carved into the shape of a woman. Who was this woman? What is his relationship with Emperor Yao? Lin Feng couldn't help but feel extremely puzzled. Obviously, this was all a mystery. Lin Feng carefully looked at the little puppet. He couldn't help but wonder if this little puppet was made by Emperor Yao. The more Lin Feng thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Lin Feng tried to use his divine will to invade the little puppet and examine it carefully. He wanted to see if he could find the secret of the little puppet. However, Lin Feng discovered that there was an invisible force blocking his divine will. His divine will couldn't detect the secret of the little puppet at all. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a little depressed. He had no choice but to temporarily store the little puppet in time and space. Although he couldn't find the secret of the little puppet yet, Lin Feng felt that he might be able to in the future. Moreover, Lin Feng had an extremely strong intuition that the little puppet's secret was absolutely shocking. When the time came, perhaps even he himself would be shocked by the secret hidden by the human-shaped puppet. Lin Feng cleaned up the cracked statue of Emperor Yao. He felt a little emotional. These experts who had made great contributions to the era were labeled as sinners' blood. Even their descendants didn't dare to worship them openly. They didn't even dare to set up memorial tablets for them. It had to be said that this was very sad. It also made one feel a little sad. The next day, at noon, a large number of cultivators from the Sacred Legion headed towards Ichi Suner's ancestral home. What happened? Why did the Sacred Legion mobilize so many people? Many people had puzzled expressions. They didn't know what was going on. Someone said, "I heard that Yuan Hua was crippled by someone. He's Lu Hang's nephew. The Sacred Legion must have mobilized to avenge him. Someone actually dared to cripple Yuan Hua. How satisfying. But who is the person who crippled Yuan Hua?" Next, a cultivator asked doubtfully. In the capital of Sin, there were very few people who dared to offend Yuan Hua, let alone crippling him. Thus, many people were extremely confused. Just who could have done such a shocking thing? It is said that he is a young human cultivator. Although he is young, his strength is very strong. However, he is only one person after all. Now that the Sacred Legion has been dispatched, I don't know if he will be captured by them. If he falls into their hands, he will be dead for sure. A cultivator who knew the inside story couldn't help but say. Many people's expressions changed slightly. Although they didn't know the person who did it, they didn't have a good impression of the Sacred Legion. They naturally hoped that the person who dealt with Yuan Hua would be able to escape without a hitch. "Come, let's go take a look," a cultivator said. Next, a large number of cultivators followed behind the Sacred Legion and quickly headed towards Ichi Suner's ancestral mansion. The Sacred Legion had mobilized a total of 1,000 cultivators. The vice commander, Lu Longhai, personally led the team. He was an itinerant immortal. An itinerant immortal was considered an expert even in the undying world. Moreover, Lu Longhai was leading 1,000 cultivators from the Sacred Legion. The Sacred Legion's cultivators were well trained and very powerful. They also knew how to coordinate with various formations. Therefore, an army of 1,000 cultivators, coupled with a loose immortal expert, was an extremely terrifying force. Along the way, more and more people were attracted. Many people were discussing this matter. It didn't take long for the Sacred Legion to arrive outside of Ichi Suner's ancestral mansion. Ichi Suner and Ichi Tonger turned pale after seeing the army outside. "Don't worry," Lin Feng said. When the two sisters heard Lin Feng, they nodded. They had absolute confidence in Lin Feng. Lin Feng said they didn't need to worry. They didn't need to worry. Brad inside, hurry up and come out to meet your death. Do you want me to personally capture you? Lu Longhai rode on a flame beast and held a war spear. His voice was cold and emotionless. Lu Longhai's voice was full of contempt. Clearly, he didn't give a damn about Lin Feng. In Lu Longhai's opinion, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to escape today. Chapter 4578. Lin Feng came outside. He saw the 1,000-man army of the Sacred Legion. It had to be said that the 1,000-man army of the Sacred Legion was indeed extraordinary. They were uniform and powerful. The Sacred Legion was one of the most powerful legions under the Heavenly Emperor. Naturally, it was very powerful. However, Lin Feng did not put these people in his eyes, because the current Lin Feng was really too powerful. Look, that kid is coming out. He's really young. So young, even if his cultivation is powerful, how powerful can he be? I'm afraid this kid won't have a good end today. Yeah, I also think this kid is dead for sure. At such a young age, he had a great future, but now he's going to lose his life. What a pity! This kid is quite chivalrous, but he can't tell the situation clearly. In one's life, there will be many things that require the help of others. But many times, we can't help because the other party may be someone we can't afford to offend. If we help others, we may end up getting ourselves killed. This kind of thing is too common in the world of cultivators. This kid is still too young. He has too little experience in dealing with people. Now, everything is irreversible. It would be good if he ran away earlier, but he didn't. Yeah, I don't know what this kid is thinking. Many people could not help but talk about it. Obviously, everyone was not optimistic about Lin Feng, thinking that Lin Feng might die without a burial place. It was no wonder that these cultivators thought so. After all, Lin Feng was only one person. Although his strength was not bad, he was too young. Even if such a young cultivator's strength was not bad, how strong could his cultivation be? Could he be strong enough to fight against the Sacred Legion alone? Naturally, no one thought that Lin Feng could really have such fighting strength. Therefore, in many people's view, if no miracle happened today, then Lin Feng would die without a doubt. Kid, you're quite obedient. Are you scared out of your wits? Seeing Lin Feng come out of the house, Lu Longhai suddenly said sarcastically. Lin Feng said, I want to see whose dog is barking outside the yard in the morning. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the originally noisy surroundings instantly became silent. Everyone's face revealed an expression of disbelief. Everyone thought that they had misheard. Lin Feng actually dared to call Lu Longhai a dog? Many people couldn't help but smile bitterly because Lin Feng was really too arrogant. At this time, Lin Feng was still so arrogant. Everyone wanted to pry open Lin Feng's head to see what Lin Feng was thinking. Brat, what did you say? Lu Longhai looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. He couldn't believe what he had heard. He thought he had misheard. Lin Feng said, It's normal for dogs to not understand human language. Hearing Lin Feng's sarcasm towards Lu Longhai, many people couldn't help but laugh. Lin Feng's words were really too infuriating. The Sacred Legion had indiscriminately slaughtered the innocent in the Sin domain. Everyone was happy to see the Sacred Legion suffer. The corner of Lu Longhai's mouth twitched violently. He was now completely sure that Lin Feng was scolding him. This made Lu Longhai's anger soar. In Lu Longhai's opinion, he had led the army to surround Lin Feng. Lin Feng should be trembling in fear. He should be kneeling and begging for mercy. But the reality was completely different from what he had imagined. Not only did Lin Feng not tremble in fear and beg for mercy, but he also humiliated him in all kinds of ways. A man lived for a breath, and a Buddha fought for an incense stick. The stronger the cultivator, the more they valued face. The higher the status, the more they valued face. No matter what, Lu Longhai was a loose immortal powerhouse and the vice commander of the Sacred Legion. Being humiliated by Lin Feng like this, Lu Longhai was naturally incomparably angry. He simply wished that he could cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces right now. Catch this kid for me. This vice commander wants to execute this kid. Lu Longhai roared angrily. His eyes flickered with dense killing intent. He was now looking forward to the scene of Lin Feng being cut into 1,000 pieces. At that time, he was looking forward to seeing Lin Feng kneeling in front of him like a dog and begging for mercy. After Lu Longhai gave the order, a small group of Sacred Legion cultivators all rushed towards Lin Feng. There were a total of 10 people, each with a deep aura and a powerful cultivation. The Sacred Legion cultivators have made their move. That kid is finished! Some cultivators exclaimed. Many people shook their heads and couldn't help but feel pity for Lin Feng. Die, strip, take! Lin Feng's cold voice suddenly sounded. His eye of death slightly blinked. Then, the invisible power of death quickly rushed towards the 10 Sacred Legion cultivators, and the power of death instantly wrapped around their bodies. Then, the 10 cultivators of the Sacred Legion cried out in horror, because they found that their lifespan was rapidly slipping away. Their bodies were aging at a speed visible to the naked eye. This scene was really too terrifying. Heavens, what the hell is going on? Does that kid know demonic arts? What method did he use? The onlooking cultivators couldn't help but exclaim. Everyone's heart was filled with deep shock. Everybody was astonished by Lin Feng's lack of strength. In a few breaths of time, the 10 Sacred Legion cultivators instantly turned into 10 piles of bones and scattered on the ground. Dead, they're all dead! That kid is really too terrifying. I can't imagine how tyrannical he is! The cultivators exclaimed in shock. Originally, everyone thought that Lin Feng was dead without a doubt, but after seeing Lin Feng's amazing method, they changed their minds. They couldn't help but change their minds. They finally understood why Lin Feng didn't leave Sin City. They finally understood why Lin Feng was so arrogant in the face of a colossus like the Sacred Legion. It was because Lin Feng was really too powerful. Damn it! Seeing the 10 Sacred Legion cultivators killed, Lu Longhai couldn't help but curse. Lin Feng's method also shocked him, but in Lu Longhai's view, they had the advantage in numbers. Although Lin Feng's method was powerful, he alone couldn't contend against so many experts of the Sacred Legion. Lu Longhai originally wanted to capture Lin Feng, and then ruthlessly torture Lin Feng. But after seeing how strange and terrifying Lin Feng's method was, he decided to directly kill Lin Feng. Kill him together! Lu Longhai coldly ordered. Yes! The cultivators of the Sacred Legion shouted in unison. Their essence energy fused together to form a dragon above them. This dragon was formed from the essence energy of the Sacred Legion cultivators. Its draconic aura was vast and suffocating. Countless people stared at the dragon with an aghast expression. Chapter 4579. The Essence Chi Dragon was formed in the same way as the Essence Chi Smoke Signal. After the Essence Chi Smoke Signal was formed, a behemoth would appear in the Essence Chi Smoke Signal. The behemoth that appeared in the Essence Chi Smoke Signal was a giant wolf. This was the origin of the Essence Chi Smoke Signal, and the Essence Chi Dragon was obviously more powerful than the Essence Chi Smoke Signal. It was even more difficult to form the Essence Chi Dragon, but the cultivators of the Sacred Army had actually formed it. This was because their Essence Chi was perfectly fused together. Moreover, their Essence Chi was incomparably powerful, which was why they formed the Essence Chi Dragon. Heavens, even the Essence Chi Dragon has been formed. The Sacred Army's cultivator army really lives up to their reputation. Now that the Essence Chi Dragon has been formed, it means that their Essence Chi and Spirit have been connected. Their strength has also been connected, and their battle strength has reached an unimaginable level. After seeing the Essence Chi Dragon formed above the Sacred Army's cultivator army, a cultivator suddenly exclaimed, his face showing deep shock. It was no wonder that cultivator was so shocked. Anyone who saw the situation in front of them would feel incomparably shocked. Moreover, after the Essence Chi Dragon was formed, theoretically speaking, the strength of the Sacred Army's cultivator army would also be connected. It was very easy for everyone to increase their battle strength by several times. Of course, the most important thing was not the increase of one person's battle strength, but the increase of two people's battle strength. Instead, after everyone's battle strength increased, they would attack together, and then their attacks would be fused together. At this time, the attack formed would be too powerful. This was the advantage of a team battle. In a team battle, as long as the cultivator's aura, strength, and attack were perfectly fused together, the power that erupted would be extremely shocking. Therefore, at this moment, the cultivators who were watching were incomparably shocked. Kill! The Sacred Army's cultivator army shouted in unison, waving their spears at the same time. Then, they swept towards Lin Feng. A terrifying aura surged out, and the spears in their hands all swept out a terrifying spear light. Their spear light swept out and fused together. After the spear light fused together, the power of the spear light was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. After feeling the power of the fused spear light, many people's soul couldn't help but tremble. It was as if he was facing an attack from an immortal titled god. It's too scary! Is that kid going to be killed? Some cultivators couldn't help but exclaim. The battle prowess Lin Feng displayed before was extremely heaven-defying. It also deeply shocked many people. Therefore, everyone knew that Lin Feng was an extremely terrifying existence. However, at this very moment, the attacks of the Sacred Legion were simply too powerful. Therefore, many cultivators felt that Lin Feng might not be able to withstand the attacks of the Sacred Legion. As the saying goes, when there are enough ants, they can even bite an elephant to death. Not to mention that this was an attack launched by a well-trained and powerful cultivator army. The attack of the Sacred Legion is indeed powerful, but I don't think it will be easy to kill that kid, a cultivator said. He felt that Lin Feng would not be killed so easily. I think that kid must have some hidden trump cards. He might be able to turn defeat into victory, someone else said. There were also people who felt that Lin Feng was an unfathomable person, and that Lin Feng still had heaven-defying methods. He might be able to defeat the Sacred Legion in the end. The number of people who agreed with this cultivator was relatively small. Among all the people, about 1 or 2% agreed with this cultivator's point of view. About 20% of the cultivators felt that Lin Feng would not be killed in a short time. This part of the people felt that if Lin Feng could find a way to get rid of the Sacred Legion and immediately escape, he might be able to escape with his life. Otherwise, he would still be on the road to death. More than 70% of the cultivators felt that Lin Feng would not be able to escape this calamity. This was because the attacks of the Sacred Legion were simply too powerful. They felt that the attacks of the Sacred Legion were not something that a young cultivator could contend against. The peerless spear light condensed from the attacks of the Sacred Legion quickly flew towards Lin Feng. In the blink of an eye, it had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. It looked like it was about to kill Lin Feng. But at this moment, Lin Feng flicked his finger. His finger flicked the peerless spear light. Clang! A sonorous sound like metal colliding rang out. Everyone saw that the peerless spear light of the Sacred Legion's cultivator army was actually shattered by Lin Feng's light flick. After seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. They felt that their brains could not think. Everyone could not help but have the same thought flashing through their minds. How could this be? How did he do it? However, the next moment, an even more inconceivable thing happened. The spears in the hands of the Sacred Legion's cultivator army were all out of control. All of them were stabbing their companions around them. Puff! 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 The sound of flesh being pierced rang out as the spears directly pierced through the chests of the Sacred Legion's cultivators. How could this be? The cultivators of the Sacred Legion did not even have time to recover from their shock when their chests were pierced through by the spears. Their eyes were filled with horror and unwillingness. Then, one by one, the cultivators of the Sacred Legion fell to the ground dead. Dead. They were all dead. In an instant, the scene in front of them became purgatory on earth. Everyone's body could not help but tremble. Everyone looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a demon god. Too scary. It was really too scary. It must be this man. He used some unknown means to control everyone's weapons. Then, in an instant, everyone in the Sacred Legion was killed. This scene was too shocking, so much so that many people still hadn't come back to their senses. Quickly leave! Lu Longhai's pupils shrank. Lin Feng was so strong that Lu Longhai couldn't help but be astonished. So, Lu Longhai now had only one thought. That was to escape. Run as far away as you can. He did not even care about the raging flame beast he was sitting on. He directly soared into the sky and fled into the distance. But at this time, Lin Feng appeared in front of him. Lin Feng walked towards Lu Longhai. I bestow upon you death. Lin Feng's voice seemed to come from hell. Everyone saw that Lin Feng stretched out his right hand and lightly tapped between Lu Longhai's eyebrows. A golden light instantly pierced through Lu Longhai's head. Lu Longhai's corpse fell from the sky and fell to the ground. Lu Longhai died with his eyes wide open. Chapter 4580. Around them. Absolute silence. No one dared to speak, and no one could say anything. At that moment, everybody looked at Lin Feng and felt like prostrating themselves in front of him. Lin Feng was truly too powerful. Too powerful. So powerful that they could not help but feel despair. Was he really just a young cultivator who had lived for over 100 years? Was he really just a human cultivator whose bloodline had long since declined? How on earth did he cultivate? Why was he so powerful? Could it be that he was the reincarnation of an ancient sacred emperor? Countless thoughts flashed through many people's minds. It was not until Lin Feng turned around and returned to his residence that they came back to their senses. They still did not disperse, because this was only the beginning. The Sacred Legion would definitely not let this matter rest. Lin Feng did not choose to leave either. Did Lin Feng want to contend against the entire Sacred Legion by himself? At this thought, many people could not help but reveal a deeply shocked expression. If that was the case, then the following scene would be too exciting. A single person challenging the Sacred Legion. Although they had not seen such a scene, just the thought of it made many people's blood boil. The news of Lu Longhai leading 1,000 cultivators from the Sacred Legion besieging Lin Feng, only to be killed by Lin Feng, quickly spread throughout Sin City. This matter caused a huge uproar. I heard that the one who attacked was a young human cultivator. What? A young human cultivator? Is that true? When did such a heaven-defying existence appear in the human race? Damn it, are you looking down on us humans? Although our race has declined, it was definitely glorious in the past. Many powerful bloodlines can still be awakened. Who knows, maybe this little brother from the human race has awakened his ancestral bloodline. Even if he has awakened his bloodline, so what if he killed Lu Longhai and the others? Lu Longhai is only a loose immortal. He can't be considered a top expert. The Sacred Legion's top experts and elites have yet to move out. Do you think that kid can contend against the entire Sacred Legion? That's not necessarily true. Who knows, he might be able to contend against the entire Legion. Brother, stop daydreaming. You yourself know that you're only deceiving yourself. I reckon that when you say those words, you'll also have doubts. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Let's go and take a look as well. We'll also take a look at who that young human cultivator is. He's actually so extraordinary. Cultivators from all over the city were discussing this matter. Many cultivators were heading toward Ichi-Sun's ancestral home. On the houses, in the sky, on the streets, there were cultivators everywhere. A high number of cultivators gathered there, all of them waiting for the upcoming battle. Many people looked towards Ichi-Sun's ancestral home. When they saw Lin Feng, many people couldn't help but be deeply shocked. Because Lin Feng was really too young. Was he really as powerful as the rumors said? Why did it sound so unbelievable? Everyone was still quietly observing the situation. Inside the house, Ichi-Sun looked worried. She said, Big brother, the Sacred Legion is very scary and powerful. I heard that it's one of the most powerful legions in the Undying Realm. Why don't we quickly leave the city before the Sacred Legion arrives? Of course, Lin Feng wouldn't leave. This time, he had his own goal to deal with the Sacred Legion. Lin Feng had his own goal. Previously, Lin Feng had been searching for the descendants of the sinner's blood, but to no avail. It seemed that the descendants of the sinner's blood were very well hidden. Therefore, it wouldn't be easy to find the descendants of the sinner's blood. Since he couldn't find the descendants of the sinner's blood, then he would tell the descendants of the sinner's blood that a child of destiny worthy of their loyalty had appeared. The sinner's blood would restore the glory of the past. No one could slander our ancestors, and no one could define us as the descendants of the sinner's blood. We are the most powerful bloodline. Our ancestors had made indelible contributions to this era. Who could define us as the descendants of the sinner's blood? Now, it was time to unite and resist. Lin Feng wanted to convey such a message to the descendants of the sinner's blood. Lin Feng wanted to unite the descendants of the sinner's blood and establish his own force. Did the nobles have the guts? Which man didn't want to hold great power? Lin Feng naturally wanted to do so too. Even though the current situation seemed to be extremely unfavorable for Lin Feng, and many forces under the heavenly court were eyeing him covetously. But so what? Lin Feng wanted to establish his own force under the watchful eyes of everyone, and then contend against the heavenly court. Lin Feng looked at Ichi-Suner and said, "Don't worry, the Sacred Legion is nothing in front of me." Seeing Lin Feng's calm expression, Ichi's worry disappeared. Ichi-Sun didn't worry anymore. She trusted Lin Feng unconditionally. When she thought about how strong Lin Feng was, she felt like she was in a daze. Of course, Lin Feng didn't know what Ichi-Suner was thinking at this moment. Roar! A high-pitched dragon's roar came from afar. One after another, giant dragons rushed over, each of them carrying a powerhouse holding a battle spear. The Dragon Knights Legion. This was the Dragon Knights Legion under the Sacred Legion. Over 1,000 giant dragons moving together. Just how shocking was this scene? Each dragon had a wingspan of 300 to 400 meters. Their huge bodies exuded a suffocating dragon's aura. At this moment, countless people looked at the huge army of dragon knights in horror. At this moment, the entire Sin capital became extremely oppressive. "The Dragon Knights Legion is here, hurry up and make way!" A cultivator shouted loudly. At this time, everyone came back to their senses. After they came back to their senses, the cultivators floating in the air quickly flew away, or landed directly on some eaves or on the streets. The Dragon Knight Legion had arrived. If they occupied the sky, they would be courting death. Not long after, the Dragon Knights Legion arrived. Thousands of dragons floated in the air. The experts of the Dragon Knights Legion looked coldly at Lin Feng. The cultivator standing on top of the leading dragon was a middle-aged cultivator. He was one of the 5 captains of the Sacred Legion stationed in the Sin capital. He was the vice city lord of the Sin capital, the actual ruler of the Dragon Knights Legion. His name was Zhou Xingyang. His cultivation base was unfathomable. "You're the one who crippled my nephew, and then killed 1,000 of my Sacred Legion's cultivators?" Zhou Xingyang looked down at Lin Feng condescendingly, his eyes flashing with murderous intent. Chapter 4581. From Zhou Xingyang's point of view, Lin Feng would not be able to escape today. Therefore, Lin Feng was no different from a dead man in Zhou Xingyang's eyes. None of the surrounding cultivators dared to make a sound. They were all silently observing the current situation. No one knew how Lin Feng would deal with the army of dragon knights. The army of dragon knights led by Zhou Xingyang was simply too terrifying. Everyone felt a deep sense of despair. "So you're Yuan Hua's uncle? I was wondering why Yuan Hua, this grandson, didn't stay in his own family and followed you everywhere. Now I realize that you look quite similar to Yuan Hua. I heard that Yuan Hua is your sister's son. Don't tell me he's also your son?" Lin Feng curled his lips and said. "Pfft." Many people burst out laughing when they heard Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng was cursing without using any vulgarities. Zhou Xingyang was so angry that he was trembling all over. He glared at Lin Feng with resentment and said, "As expected of a sharp-tongued brat, but do you think you can compete with me with just that mouth of yours? When I catch you later, I will use a knife to cut off your flesh piece by piece, and then throw your soul into the hellfire. I will let your soul be burned by the hellfire day and night. I will let you live a life worse than death, and you will not be able to reincarnate. You hate me that much? Did I guess correctly? Yuan Hua is actually your son. If I cripple him, your bloodline will be cut off. Damn, I didn't know that as the commander of the Sacred Army, your taste is so heavy and your mind is so evil. You won't even spare your own sister. You're really a beast." Lin Feng continued to mock. "After hearing what that brat said, I also feel that Yuan Hua is too similar to Zhou Xingyang. Could it be that Yuan Hua isn't Zhou Xingyang's nephew, but his son? If Yuan Hua is his son, doesn't that mean Zhou Xingyang and his sister are in cahoots? F***ck, what a loss of morals. Some people seek excitement. What can't they do? On the other hand, some people are completely heartless. They can also do such disgusting things. I think this Zhou Xingyang is not a good person. I'm not surprised at all that you've done. Zhou Xingyang is not the only one. None of the members of the Sacred Army are good. Anyone with a conscience would not join the Sacred Army. How many innocent people have the Sacred Army killed over the years? No wonder Yuan Hua is such a bastard. It turns out that he is a bastard himself. It's understandable that he would do all kinds of bad things. He inherited it from Zhou Xingyang. Countless cultivators began to discuss among themselves. Zhou Xingyang's spiritual sense was very strong. Naturally, he could hear the discussions of many cultivators. When he heard the discussions, he almost went crazy. But right now, dealing with Lin Feng was the top priority. After killing Lin Feng, he would deal with those who dared to gossip behind his back. Zhou Xingyang had already decided to go on a killing spree. So, he looked down at the cultivators who were watching the show with an indifferent expression. Then, Zhou Xingyang waved his hand, and the cultivators of the Dragon Knight Legion behind him understood. Roar! A high-pitched dragon's roar resounded through the clouds. Immediately, a dozen Dragon Knights rode their dragons and charged toward Lin Feng. The Dragon Knights' true strength was that they could become one with their dragons. Their combat strength would greatly increase. When Dragon Knights cooperated with each other, their combat strength would increase even more. Therefore, in a battle between cultivators, strength did not necessarily determine victory. It also depended on various external factors. However, no matter how powerful the Dragon Knights were, Lin Feng did not take them seriously. Whoosh! With a flash of light, the Hou-Yi bow appeared in Lin Feng's hand. Then, Lin Feng drew the bow. There were not many cultivators who used the giant bow as a weapon, but there were definitely a lot of them. Therefore, no one associated the giant bow in Lin Feng's hand with the Hou-Yi bow. After all, many people felt that Lin Beishan's son had most likely fled the Sin realm after obtaining the Hou-Yi bow. Perhaps they would hide somewhere and disappear for a period of time, only to appear again after the situation calmed down. However, they did not expect that Lin Feng, whose name had spread throughout the Sin realm not long ago, was the young cultivator who wielded the giant bow and shot the giant dragon. The energy of heaven and earth converged from all directions, and an energy arrow shot forth. After releasing the arrow, Lin Feng did not stop. He continued to draw the bow and shoot. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, one energy arrow after another condensed and was shot out by Lin Feng. Each energy arrow contained an extremely terrifying amount of power. However, Lin Feng's control over the energy arrows had reached a relatively high level. Therefore, he was able to successfully suppress the leakage of energy from the energy arrows. As a result, many people were unable to sense the true aura of the energy arrows. Many people thought that they were just ordinary energy arrows. You dare to make a fool of yourself with such petty tricks? The Dragon Knights looked at Lin Feng with contempt. They stood on the backs of the Dragon Knights and waved the spears in their hands. Terrifying spear lights swept out. Those spear lights swept towards the energy arrows shot out by the Hou-Yi bow. These Dragon Knights were the most elite experts of the Sacred Legion. Not only were their teamwork powerful, but their individual strength was also very strong. Their individual combat prowess was also extremely terrifying, not something that ordinary cultivators of the Sacred Legion could compare with. Therefore, their attacks were all very powerful. However, it also depended on whose attacks they were compared to. The energy arrows shot out by Lin Feng's Hou-Yi bow were simply too powerful. When the spear lights swept out by the Dragon Knights swept over the energy arrows, they could not destroy them at all. After shattering the spear lights, the energy arrows continued to shoot towards the Dragon Knights. Not good! The group of Dragon Knights were horrified. They had not expected this at all. They could have easily destroyed the energy arrows shot by Lin Feng. At this time, it was too late to dodge. Puff! 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 The sound of tearing could be heard one after another. Everyone saw that the energy arrows shot by Lin Feng first pierced through the huge heads of the dragons. Then, the energy arrows pierced through the bodies of the Dragon Knights. The huge bodies of the dragons and Dragon Knights fell to the ground. Heavens, what am I seeing? Many cultivators could not help but cry out in alarm. Lin Feng shot the dragon knights with arrows. Moreover, he killed more than a dozen dragon knights and dragons in an instant. This scene was too shocking. Many people could not help but feel deeply shocked and shocked. Fifth update, brothers, Old Steamed Bun explodes tomorrow. Looking for recommendation tickets. Chapter 4582. But Lin Feng did not stop his attack. He was still drawing his bow and shooting arrows. This time, Lin Feng's target was the Dragon Knight Legion high in the sky. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, arrows shot towards the Dragon Knight Legion as fast as lightning. Then everyone saw that the dragons and dragon knights were directly shot to death by Lin Feng's energy arrows. The Dragon Knight Legion became chaotic. Seeing this scene, Zhou Xingyang's face also showed an expression of disbelief. How powerful was the Dragon Knight Legion? This was one of the most elite legions of the Dragon Knights. But now, they had become living targets. Every time he lost a Dragon Knight and a dragon, Zhou Xingyang would feel extremely painful. Zhou Xingyang's status in the Sacred Legion was quite high. The main reason was that he was in charge of the 1,000-man Dragon Knight Legion in front of him. Zhou Xingyang knew that this could not go on. If this continued, the Dragon Knight Legion would be completely wiped out. Charge! Charge! Zhou Xingyang shouted in a deep voice. Kill! The rest of the Dragon Knights roared out one after another. Roar! Then, the roars of the dragons shook the sky. Whether it was these dragons or these Dragon Knights, they were all in a state of rage at this moment. They had an absolute advantage in numbers, but Lin Feng had actually started a massacre here. These Dragon Knights and dragons were naturally extremely angry. One by one, the Dragon Knights merged perfectly with the dragons they were sitting on, and then those dragons all swooped down towards Lin Feng. This was a shocking scene. The densely packed Dragon Knights rode their dragons to kill Lin Feng. Like a meteor falling from the sky, its speed was unbelievably fast. The Dragon Knight Legion is charging together. This scene is really terrifying. With so many Dragon Knights and dragons, that kid can't kill them all, a cultivator said. Yeah, he won't be killed by the Dragon Knight Legion, will he? Then someone said. Many people felt that Lin Feng might really be killed by the furious Dragon Knight Legion. Lin Feng's individual combat ability was indeed very strong. However, Lin Feng was facing too many opponents. No matter how strong a single person was, they would not be able to withstand the attack of an entire army. Lin Feng didn't know what others were thinking. He just needed to be himself. Lin Feng looked indifferent in the face of the Dragon Knight Legion that swooped down. He continued to draw his bow and shoot. It was different from before. Before, Lin Feng had only shot one energy arrow each time, but now, he was shooting 7 energy arrows at the same time. Of course, shooting 7 arrows in unison would also consume a lot of his magic power. But Lin Feng didn't care at all. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Every time Lin Feng drew his bow, he could shoot out 7 energy arrows, and each energy arrow contained unimaginable power. Lin Feng's attack speed was too fast, so fast that it was dazzling. Lin Feng was the first to kill the dragons and dragon knights at the front. Puff! 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 The sound of flesh piercing through flesh came out again. One by one, the dragons and dragon knights were shot to death by Lin Feng. A large number of dragons and dragon knights' corpses continued to fall from the sky. Everyone stared at what was happening in front of them, dumbfounded. No one thought that the attack of the Dragon Knight Legion would be such a scene. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Many people's hearts were filled with questions. For example, how did Lin Feng shoot so many energy arrows in a row? One must know that shooting an energy arrow consumes a lot of magic power, but how many energy arrows has Lin Feng shot out? Everyone couldn't remember clearly how strong Lin Feng's magic power was to support Lin Feng to shoot so many energy arrows continuously. Of course, no one answered these questions. Lin Feng was so heaven-defying. The charge of the Dragon Knight Legion was a suicide mission because they couldn't reach Lin Feng at all. While still in midair, they were shot to death by Lin Feng. It didn't take long for most of the dragons and dragon knights to be shot to death by Lin Feng. The corpses of the dragons smashed into houses, and the corpses of the dragons and dragon knights were everywhere. "Run!" Some dragon knights screamed in horror, not daring to continue fighting with Lin Feng. In the eyes of those dragon knights, Lin Feng was no different from a demon. But Lin Feng had no intention of letting them go at all. Whoosh! A dense barrage of energy arrows shot towards the fleeing dragon knights and dragons. One by one, the dragons and dragon knights were shot to death. In the end, the Dragon Knight Legion was completely wiped out. Shocking. Unbelievable. He could not believe it. All kinds of emotions filled everyone's heart. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the young human cultivator who stood proudly with a huge bow in his hand. Too strong. Really too strong. He was like a god and a demon. Even the top geniuses of the Undying Realm might not be as strong as him. Many people couldn't help but have such a thought in their hearts. You. At this moment, Zhou Xingyang was completely dumbfounded. The Dragon Knight Legion. The Dragon Knight Legion, composed of thousands of dragon knights and dragons, had always been an invincible existence. Gods were killers, and Buddhas were killers. They had never failed. But today, they were easily killed by Lin Feng. Zhou Xingyang knew that he had kicked an iron plate today. Moreover, Lin Feng seemed to be targeting the Sacred Legion. Could it be? Did Lin Feng have a grudge against the Sacred Legion? Could he be a descendant of the sinner's blood? Zhou Xingyang thought of a possibility and couldn't help but gasp. If the descendant of the sinner's blood was so powerful, it was naturally not a good thing for the Sacred Legion. Because the descendant of the sinner's blood has a great relationship with the Sacred Legion and even the Heavenly Court. You can't escape either. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He drew his bow and shot out a series of energy arrows. Zhou Xingyang's expression changed greatly. He waved his war spear and swept it toward the incoming energy arrows. Clang! Clang! A series of violent collisions were heard. Zhou Xingyang's combat strength was indeed powerful. He was worthy of being a domain commander of the Sacred Legion. This guy should be an earthly immortal expert. However, even an earth immortal couldn't resist Lin Feng's attack. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He continued to draw his bow and shoot arrows. One after another, arrows were shot toward Zhou Xingyang and his dragon. Puff! 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 After Zhou Xingyang blocked a dozen arrows at the front, Zhang Wuji's eyes lit up. The arrows behind him couldn't be blocked anymore. One arrow after another pierced through the dragon he was sitting on and his body. Both the dragon and Zhou Xingyang's body fell to the ground at a high speed. Chapter 4583. Boom! Along with the sound of a violent collision, there was a loud sound. The dragon and Zhou Xingyang's bodies fell to the ground. Around them, absolute silence. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. At this moment, the shock in everyone's hearts could no longer be described with words. One person. He single-handedly challenged the Dragon Knights. Anyone would think that this person who single-handedly challenged the Dragon Knights would die a horrible death. However, that was not the case. He single-handedly challenged the Dragon Knights and wiped out the entire Dragon Knights. It was unbelievable. Rumble! At this moment, a black army flew over from the distance. It was like a heavenly army. At the front was a divine chariot pulled by 9 dragons. Around the divine chariot, there were 4 dragon knights riding giant dragons. The Lord of the Sin City is here! Some cultivators could not help but exclaim. The Lord of the Sin City was the highest leader of the sacred army stationed in the Sin City. This person was called Yan Quan. At the same time, he was also the Lord of the Sin City. The Sin City was the imperial capital where the descendants of the Sin's blood established their country. This place was extremely important to the descendants of the Sin's blood. Therefore, the Sin City was a very sensitive place. For Yan Quan to be able to guard the Sin City, it was obvious that his background was not simple. After Yan Quan learned that Lin Feng had shot down the Dragon Knights, he led the army to attack. However, he did not expect that when he arrived. The Dragon Knights had been completely wiped out. This made Yan Quan's expression extremely ugly. With 100,000 troops, how are we going to fight this battle? It's 100,000 troops, we can wear that kid down, some cultivators said. Yes, it's not too late to leave now before the 100,000 troops arrive. If we leave later, I'm afraid we won't be able to leave even if we want to. Then, another cultivator said. Someone secretly sent a voice transmission to Lin Feng, telling Lin Feng to leave quickly and not stay any longer. The opponent was an army of 100,000. No matter how strong one person was, could he fight against an army of 100,000? No one would think that Lin Feng could do this. However, Lin Feng did not leave. He flew into the air, holding the Hou-Yi bow in his hand, and looked at the army of 100,000 with an indifferent expression. Thump, thump, thump. At this time, the war drums beat, resounding through the clouds. The army of 100,000 carried boundless killing intent like celestial soldiers and generals. Their powerful auras made people's hair stand on end. Anyone who faced an army of 100,000 would feel their limbs go soft, and their mind tremble. Everyone looked at Lin Feng and found that Lin Feng was very calm. Many people found it inconceivable. This time, Lin Feng was not facing an army of 1,000, but an army of 100,000. Why was Lin Feng still so calm? This puzzled everyone. It didn't take long for the army to arrive. The sky was filled with the army of the Sacred Legion. This time, the Sacred Legion arrived under the leadership of Yan Quan. It was to kill Lin Feng. They were really going all out. It's been a long time since my Sacred Legion suffered such heavy losses. And you actually caused my Sacred Legion to suffer such heavy losses. You deserve to die. Yan Quan sat in his chariot, his eyes flashing with dense killing intent. Lin Feng said indifferently, Wasn't Shinzongdao killed some time ago? What are the losses this time compared to Shinzongdao's death? Yan Quan frowned slightly. He was a meticulous person. Many people knew about Shinzongdao's death. However, when Lin Feng said this, Yan Quan had a strange feeling. Could this person be? Yan Quan thought of Lin Feng's possible identity, and couldn't help but be shocked. Then, he revealed a look of excitement. So you're the sinner's blood descendant, Lin Baitian's son, Lin Feng? Yan Quan looked at Lin Feng indifferently. He couldn't be sure of Lin Feng's identity. Everything was just his speculation, so he had been observing the changes in Lin Feng's expression. Yan Quan believed that if a person's deliberately hidden identity was exposed, no matter how shrewd they were, there would be some changes in their expression. Yan Quan wanted to find out Lin Feng's specific identity through these changes. What? He's Lin Feng? Heavens, this can't be real, right? Lin Baitian's son actually came to Sin City? Countless gasps could be heard. Everyone looked at Lin Feng, wondering if Yan Quan was telling the truth. You can actually guess who I am? Lin Feng looked at Yan Quan in astonishment. However, Lin Feng soon understood. Yan Quan guessing his identity wasn't too outrageous. First of all, top geniuses of the human race's younger generation were extremely rare. Recently, he seemed to be the only one active in the Undying Realm. Secondly, he had always been in the Sin Realm and the extreme north. Although many people guessed that he had left after obtaining the Hou-Yi Bao, it was normal for him to stay in the Sin Realm. Finally, the Hou-Yi Bao had aroused the suspicion of the other party. There were many powerful giant Bao-type magic treasures, but none of them were as powerful as the Hou-Yi Bao. The only Hou-Yi Bao had fallen into his hands. And previously, he had killed many people with the Hou-Yi Bao. Perhaps many people had already begun to suspect him. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't find it strange that Yan Quan suspected his identity. If not, Lin Feng would find it strange. With so many suspicious points added together, it seemed that he was the only one who fit the target. He really is Lin Feng! He really is Lin Baitian's son! Heavens, Lin Baitian's son, a descendant of the sinner's blood. He has appeared in Sin City. Seeing that Lin Feng had confirmed Yan Quan's suspicions, countless people couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Ha 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 ha, I searched high and low for him, only to find him by chance. Yan Quan couldn't help but laugh. Lin Feng sneered. It's too early to be happy. That Shinzong Dao was just as arrogant as you. In the end, I killed him, and you will follow in his footsteps. Yan Quan's expression was cold. Brat. Do you think you can stop an army of 100,000 on your own? Who says I'm him? Lin Feng sneered and began to circulate his sovereign emperor blood. When Lin Feng's sovereign emperor blood began to circulate, above the Sin realm, boundless blood energy surged. A sage emperor was formed. The sage emperor had appeared before, but he had disappeared. Now, when Lin Feng circulated his sovereign emperor blood again, the sage emperor appeared again. The Sinner's Blood Emperor. It's the Sinner's Blood Emperor. It really is him. He really was the one who had caused the Sinner's Blood Emperor to appear. He has the most powerful Sinner's blood. When they saw the Sinner's Blood Empress, some of the white-haired old men who had been hiding in the shadows cried out in excitement. They couldn't help but tear up. The Sovereign Emperor blood had appeared. The Sinner's Blood descendants would rise once more. The Sinner's Blood descendants would recreate the glory of their ancestors. Chapter 45-84. As the leader of the sinful city, Yan Quan knew how terrifying it was for Lin Feng to have a royal bloodline. The royal bloodline was the only bloodline among the sinners' bloodlines that could unite the sinners' bloodlines. If it were another sinner's bloodline leading everyone, they might have different opinions. But who would dare to question the royal bloodline? Lin Feng's ancestors' blood was the strongest in history, and Lin Feng's blood was still the strongest in history. He was the leader of many sinners' blood clans. He could unite many sinners' blood clans. All the sinners' blood clans had to obey him. Who would dare to oppose all of this? No one dared to do so, and no one had the right to do so unless their bloodline was stronger than Lin Feng's. However, no one in this world could compare to Lin Feng's bloodline. So, Yan Quan knew that he had to kill Lin Feng as soon as possible. As long as he killed Lin Feng, the sinner's bloodline would be completely destroyed. After thinking about this, Yan Quan's expression became cold, and the killing intent in his eyes burned. Kill! Kill him for me! Yan Quan's cold voice sounded. Yes! The 100,000 cultivators roared in unison, and then they all waved their spears and swept towards Lin Feng. The attacks of 100,000 cultivators gathered together to form a terrifying spear light. It was impossible to imagine how powerful this spear light was. The spear light blasted towards Lin Feng. At this moment, countless people couldn't help but be aghast. This spear attack had reached the level of killing ghosts and destroying immortals. It was impossible for him to contend against that spear. So in many people's opinion, Lin Feng would definitely die under this terrifying spear attack. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. A light flashed in his hand. The sun-slaying divine arrow appeared in his hand. Lin Feng knocked the sun-slaying divine arrow on the Hoi bow. Then, Lin Feng's body slightly leaned back. He pulled the bowstring of the Hoi bow to half a full moon. Then, the sun-slaying divine arrow shot out. It was as if he was drawing the bow to the full moon and looking northwest to shoot down the heavenly wolf. Everyone saw the sun-slaying divine arrow shot by Lin Feng collide with the attack of the 100,000 cultivators. It was as if two planets had collided. That destructive power spread out in all directions from the point of collision. The void directly split open. That scene was truly horrifying. The most hair-raising thing was that Lin Feng's arrow actually blocked the attack of the 100,000 cultivators. It's the sun-slaying divine arrow! The Hoi bow and the sun-slaying divine arrow! The battle prowess is truly too powerful! That depends on who can use those treasures. Maybe Lin Feng is the only one in the world who can use those treasures, said Lin Feng. He's really is the reincarnated war god! Countless cultivators roared. looking at Lin Feng with incomparable admiration. The battle prowess Lin Feng displayed had deeply shocked them. Too handsome, really too handsome. I really want to marry this little brother. If I can have a relationship with this little brother, even if I die, I'm willing. I'd be satisfied if this little brother just glanced at me. Don't you want to get to know this little brother? Of course I do. I just don't know if he'll like me. Many female cultivators also started discussing, but the content of their discussion was clearly different from the male cultivators. Lin Feng used the sun-slaying divine arrow to block the attack of the 100,000 cultivators. It was truly hot-blooded. Lin Feng, on the other hand, didn't stop. He drew the Hui Bao again, and the energy of the world gathered. Next, an energy arrow condensed, and Lin Feng shot it into the sky. Whoosh! The energy arrow flew into the sky like a bolt of lightning. It pierced through the clouds. Then, it exploded. It alarmed everyone in Sin City, and within 1,000 miles of Sin City. Cloud-piercing arrow! It's cloud-piercing arrow! A single cloud-piercing arrow can summon an entire army. Could it be that he's summoning his companions? He's the Sinner Emperor. If he's summoning his companions, doesn't that mean he's summoning a Sinner's blood descendant? Are there still Sinner's blood descendants left? Countless cultivators whispered to each other, discussing spiritedly. Boom! At that moment, boundless demonic light soared into the sky. Next, an earth-shaking roar rang out. Descendant of the fourth demon lord, demon sovereign Jiuxue, has come to reinforce the Sinner Emperor. When the voice rang out, everyone saw a man in blood-red robes walking over from the demonic qi in the distance. He was a sinner from the demon realm. He'd arrived at Sin City around the same time as Lin Feng. He was Wu Tianhai's companion. The sinner's aura was extremely terrifying. He was actually a sinner in the sky immortal realm. It's a sinner from the demon realm! Someone exclaimed. Now that a sinner from the demon realm had come to reinforce Lin Feng, there would be a good show to watch. Would other experts come to Lin Feng's aid? Descendant of Qi Yu, Mu Tianlang, has come to reinforce the Sinner Emperor. At that moment, another voice rang out between heaven and earth. Qi Yu was a great demon that had been defeated by the Yellow Emperor and the Flame Emperor in the legends. In the legends, Qi Yu was an existence that everyone despised. However, that wasn't the truth. In the legends, Qi Yu had been killed by the Yellow Emperor and the Flame Emperor, but that was also a myth. In the early days, Qi Yu had indeed clashed with the Yellow Emperor and the Flame Emperor, but that was because they were fighting over territory. In that turbulent era, who didn't want their people to live better lives? Thus, such conflicts were inevitable. Qi Yu had indeed been defeated, but the Yellow Emperor and the Flame Emperor had worked together to barely defeat him. They didn't have the ability to kill Qi Yu. Later, Qi Yu went to kill the mastermind behind the scenes. It was said that he died in battle, but not many people knew about this history. The great hero of the past was now scolded as a great demon. Qi Yu's descendant was a cultivator who looked rather young. He seemed to have only cultivated for tens of thousands of years. However, no one dared to underestimate this person because he was definitely an existence that could compete with the top geniuses of the Undying Realm. It was hard to imagine what level this existence's combat strength had reached. The descendant of Mahamuri Emperor, Kong Tian, has come to reinforce the Sinner's Blood Emperor. Boundless demonic aura filled the air as the third cultivator stepped out. This was an extremely old man. After seeing this old man, many people's faces were filled with disbelief. This old man was the night watchman of Sin City. The so-called night watchman was the person who worked the night watch at night. Therefore, many people had seen this old man before. Everyone originally thought that this old man was just an ordinary person who had to work the night watch in order to survive. Who would have thought that this person was actually the descendant of Mahamuri Emperor? Chapter 4585. Jiang Mo, descendant of the third fire god, Jiang Qin, has come to reinforce the Sinner's Blood Emperor. Another cultivator soared into the sky at that moment. Damn, isn't that the old swindler at the city gates? He's also a powerful sinner's blood descendant. Many people couldn't help but cry out when they saw this cultivator. They couldn't believe their eyes. Lin Feng was also astonished when he saw this cultivator. This was because this cultivator was none other than the old man who had sold him the map. Lin Feng hadn't noticed anything unusual about him back then. Lin Feng had even felt that this old man had a mortal body and mortal blood, but now he knew that wasn't the case. This old man's background was frighteningly great. He was actually a descendant of the third fire god. Xing Tu, descendant of the son of the earth, has come to reinforce the sinner's blood emperor. Another expert soared into the sky, his background also frighteningly great. Many people had probably heard of the story of Quafu chasing the sun. Quafu was in existence from the beginning of the era, one of the most powerful Xiantian lifeforms. Quafu's descendant had actually appeared. Gongong, descendant of the first water god Gongong Shui, has come to reinforce the sinner's blood emperor. Another expert appeared, this one a descendant of Gongong. The first water god was called Gongong. Later on, Gongong's descendants used the name Gongong as their surname. Gongong was one of the earliest Xiantian lifeforms, and his bloodline hadn't been severed yet. Descendant of the nine-eyed sacred king, descendant of the divine Dalord, descendant of the Blood Knight Lion Emperor. Next, one cultivator after another appeared. Over 100 powerful cultivators appeared one after another. These cultivators were all sinners' blood descendants. Most of them were earth immortals, and a few were human immortals. There were 3 sky immortals among them. This was definitely an extremely terrifying force. After the emergence of these experts, Yi Zichen was shocked. In the distance, many cultivators soared into the sky. We are Xiantian humans, descendants of the divine blood humans. There were 200 or 300 cultivators, all of them descendants of Xiantian humans. Of course, Xiantian humans were still humans. The earliest form of humans was Xiantian humans. As time passed, the bloodline of the human race became weaker and thinner. Therefore, Xiantian humans were stripped of their Xiantian title and became humans. We are descendants of Sacred King Daiding. In another direction, dozens of powerful cultivators soared into the sky. Their origins were also extraordinary. They were cultivators of the demon race. Saint King Di Ting of the Demon Clan was one of the most powerful Saint Kings in the history of the Demon Clan. Pure-bloodeds. It was said that since the beginning of the new era, only 9 pure-blooded truth listener holy beasts had appeared. We are the descendants of Grand Magus Huang Jiuji. More powerful warriors appeared. They were from the sorcerer tribe, and there were about 100 of them. Their ancestors had once fought bloody battles in this era. The blood of their ancestors dyed the world red, and dyed the long river of history red. Their ancestors were all people who were worthy of praise and tears. They were spurned by others. Their clansmen were massacred. Their once prosperous clans were few and far between. Now, however, they all stood up. Sinners never admit defeat. Sinners never walk alone. We are now sinners. One day, we will wash away the stain of the world. We are in-laws of the Nine Li tribe. Back then, our tribe's beloved daughter married into the Nine Li tribe. We are in-laws of the Cloud Sky Sage. We are in-laws of the Jade Blood Sword Immortal. Then, a large number of cultivators stood up. They were not sinners, but they were in-laws of the sinners. Back then, the sinners were massacred. A small number of them escaped and went into hiding. The sinners' in-laws suffered the same fate. Many of them were massacred by the Heavenly Court's army. If not for the pressure of public opinion, perhaps the sinners' in-laws would have been massacred as well. Now, the sinners' in-laws responded to Lin Feng. Countless cultivators soared into the sky. These cultivators all roared out loud. The surrounding cultivators could not help but be shocked by the scene in front of them. A cloud-piercing arrow, and an army of thousands came to meet. This saying was indeed worthy of its reputation. The sinner's emperor, Lin Feng, shot a cloud-piercing arrow. As expected, he received the support of the sinner's descendants and sinners' in-laws. We are not sinners' descendants. We are not sinners' in-laws. But we We are willing to fight alongside the Sinner's Emperor, Sinner's descendants, and Sinner's in-laws to destroy the Sacred Army." Among the crowd, a cultivator roared, "The Sacred Army's atrocities are too numerous to record. Anyone who is suspected by them, even if they are innocent, will have their entire family executed. The Sacred Army's members deserve to die. Brothers, take up your weapons and rebel with the Sinner's Emperor." Following that, another cultivator roared, "Rebel, rebel, rebel!" Countless cultivators shouted. They took out their magic treasures and soared into the sky. Seeing so many people come to support him, Lin Feng felt hot tears welling up in his eyes. A just cause enjoys much support. An unjust cause enjoys little support. The ancients did not deceive me. At this moment, the 100,000 cultivators of the Sacred Army were in a panic. There were only about 20,000 to 30,000 cultivators supporting Lin Feng. However, their morale was already unstable. This was because they could see endless hatred, anger, and killing intent in the eyes of the cultivators supporting Lin Feng. They also had a firm will, as well as many years of endurance and hibernation. Moreover, at this moment, even more cultivators were flying over from all directions to support Lin Feng. "Do you want to rebel?" Yan Quan could not help but roar. He had not expected this situation. Now that he saw so many people supporting Lin Feng, he was infuriated. Yan Quan was extremely angry, but in addition to anger, there was also a trace of fear. "Kill, slaughter the Sacred Army's members. That bastard Yan Quan is the son-in-law of the Sacred Army. Capture Yan Quan!" Countless cultivators shouted. A large number of cultivators charged towards the 100,000 cultivators of the Sacred Army. Yan Quan shouted, "Don't panic. We have an army of 100,000, and they are well trained. These people are just a temporary group. They are disorganized. How many battles have we experienced? How can these people compare to us? Their cultivation is not weak, but the battle of the army is about teamwork. What are we afraid of? They are just a motley crew now." Yan Quan's words were very effective. After hearing them, the restless hearts of the 100,000 cultivators of the Sacred Army calmed down. The cultivators of the Sacred Army were in high spirits, their fighting spirit soaring to the heavens. Chapter 4586. Kill! 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 The cultivators of the Sacred Legion roared. Their auras condensed together, forming one essence chi dragon after another above them. The Sacred Legion truly lived up to its name as an elite legion. They were able to adjust their emotions in an extremely short amount of time. Moreover, their auras had reached their peak. The current cultivators of the Sacred Legion were absolutely terrifying. Actually, Yan Quan was right about one thing. If a major battle really broke out, the Sacred Legion would have a huge advantage. This was because when cultivators fought, they paid great attention to teamwork. The cultivators of the Sacred Legion had great teamwork. This was their first advantage. In addition, the Sacred Legion had 3 to 4 times the number of cultivators supporting Lin Feng. This was the second advantage of the Sacred Legion. With 2 advantages, the Sacred Legion's battle prowess was naturally terrifying. On the other hand, the cultivators supporting Lin Feng, hatred had ignited their blood. Thus, they were now charging at the Sacred Legion. They could be described as fearless. However, they were going to face a well-trained army of cultivators. The enemy's attacks were bound to be interlinked and incomparably terrifying. When the time came, the cultivators supporting Lin Feng would definitely be routed. Once they were routed, they would be wantonly massacred by the cultivators of the Sacred Legion. Who knew how many people would die? Lin Feng was very clear on this point. Thus, when the cultivators supporting him charged at the Sacred Legion, Lin Feng began to walk through the void. The war drums from the absolute beginning are about to sound. The glory of the gods will illuminate the starry sky of the absolute beginning era. The great gods, even though you have passed away, we, as your descendants, have never forgotten you. Your blood has dyed the heavens red. Your wills have merged with heaven and earth. You are unyielding experts. You have fought for this epic. Even if you die 9 times, you will have no regrets. Countless years later, we, the descendants, have chased after the glory of the gods. We have crossed the river of time and fought alongside the gods. Mighty gods, we are willing to dye this world red with our blood. For the sake of the living beings of this world, for the sake of the peace of this epoch, we are willing to sacrifice our lives. Mighty gods, please revive your indestructible will. We will fight side by side, fighting against heaven and earth. We are fearless. We will definitely win this war. Lin Feng's voice was impassioned and surging, shaking the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Lin Feng's voice entered everyone's ears. Sinner's blood descendant. Sinner's blood-in-laws. As well as the chivalrous warriors who supported Lin Feng, they heard Lin Feng's voice. Their blood vessels surged. This was the legendary battle song of the gods. The battle hymn of the gods was a battle hymn created by the gods during the era of the titled gods. When there was a large-scale battle, the battle song of the gods could be used to boost the fighting power and boost the morale of the troops. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, a loud rumbling sound could be heard. Then, above the 9 heavens, a huge river appeared. The river surged endlessly. It seemed to have crossed the past, the present, and the future. The river seemed to be the legendary river of time. Who's calling us? Suddenly, a deep voice came from the river. Heavens, what's that? Many cultivators who were watching the battle pointed at the bottom of the river. One figure after another appeared at the bottom of the river. There seemed to be many cultivators sleeping at the bottom of the river. Now, the sleeping existence at the bottom of the river had sensed Lin Feng's call. It's the primordial spirits of the gods that have yet to be destroyed. A cultivator said loudly. Mighty gods, we have inherited your will. Please fight side by side with us. We will carry your hopes. We will protect this epoch. Lin Feng shouted. Everyone, our primordial spirits can no longer resist the erosion of time. Before they dissipate, let's fight one more time. That voice sounded. All right, let's fight one more time. Voices rang out one after another. Then, one figure after another stood up from the bottom of the river. Densely packed figures. They crossed the distance of time and space and looked down. At that moment, countless people felt tears welling up in their eyes. The gods. They really were the primordial spirits of the gods that had yet to dissipate after they died. Their primordial spirits were sleeping at the bottom of the river of time. And now, the primordial spirits of the gods. They were awakening one after another. Perhaps our ancestors were among them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the next moment. The primordial spirits of the gods in the river of time turned into beams of light and flew down. The beams of light merged into the bodies of the cultivators one after another. After being possessed by the primordial spirits of the gods, many cultivators couldn't help but let out earth-shaking roars. They felt, at that moment, their bloodlines, their bodies. They had completely merged with the primordial spirits of the gods. The power of the gods. The fighting spirit of the gods. They had also perfectly merged with their own bodies. This was an extremely strange feeling. However, everyone could feel their battle strength increasing crazily. Are you willing to fight side by side with me? A voice rang out in everyone's mind. That was the primordial spirits of the gods that had possessed their bodies. They were asking them. I'm willing! Every cultivator shouted loudly. Then let's fight side by side. Bloody battle in the sky. The primordial spirits of the gods said. The cultivators shouted loudly. Even if we die 9 times, we have no regrets. Kill! The densely packed cultivators charged towards the cultivators of the Sacred Legion. Everyone's willpower fused with the willpower of the gods. Everyone's essence, energy, and spirit rose to the peak. The essence Chi Dragon formed above the cultivators of the Sacred Legion was instantly destroyed. The cultivators of the Sacred Legion saw the cultivators charging towards them without fear of death. Panic appeared on their faces again. Steady, steady, we can win, we can win! Yan Quan roared loudly. The next moment, a great battle broke out. The cultivators of the Sacred Legion attacked the cultivators charging towards them. However, the cultivators charging towards them had received the support of the primordial spirits of the gods, and their battle strength had increased crazily. When the cultivators of the Sacred Legion attacked, they were all blocked by the cultivators charging towards them. Then, 20 to 30,000 cultivators charged towards the 100,000 cultivators of the Sacred Legion. After the formation of the Sacred Legion was broken, they were simply no match for the cultivators who had received the support of the primordial spirits of the gods. A large number of cultivators of the Sacred Legion were killed, and their corpses fell from the sky towards the ground. Chapter 4587. At this moment, the battle was extremely fierce. However, Lin Feng's side clearly had the upper hand. After receiving the buffs from the primordial spirits of the gods, their fighting strength became extremely powerful. Thus, Lin Feng's side began a massacre. The casualties of the Sacred Legion became heavier and heavier. That Lin Feng is truly worthy of being Lin Baitian's son. He's too awesome. That's right. I don't know what kind of powerful technique he used to awaken the primordial spirits of the gods slumbering in the river of time. Now that the primordial spirits of the gods have fused with those cultivators, they can unleash a terrifying attack. It's really amazing. I can't believe it. The Sacred Legion's cultivator army has been scattered. The greatest advantage of the Sacred Legion's cultivator army is that they are invincible in teamwork. Now that they've been scattered, they can no longer work together. Although they still have the advantage in numbers, their morale has fallen too much. This battle is inevitable. Look in the distance, there are even more cultivators participating in this battle. I'm afraid Lin Feng is about to rise. Brothers, what are we waiting for? Let's go deal with those bastards from the Sacred Legion. They've been an eyesore for a long time. If we don't take action now, when will we? Let's go and kill those bastards from the Sacred Legion. Many cultivators were originally talking about this war, but soon, those cultivators also participated in the war. Due to the increasing number of cultivators participating in the battle, these cultivators were clearly Lin Feng's supporters. Thus, the Sacred Legion's cultivators were already in a state of disarray. At this time, Lin Feng joined forces with the 4th Devil Lord's descendant, 9 Blood Devil Sovereign, Qi Yu's descendant, Mu Tianlang, and Mahamayuri's descendant, Kong Tian, to besiege Yan Quan. Yan Quan's strength was incomparably terrifying. He was actually a quasi-true immortal expert. Yan Quan's strength was comparable to the 9 vice-generals of the Sacred Legion, but his status was not as high as the 9 vice-generals. This was because Yan Quan's contributions were not comparable to the 9 vice-generals. The Sacred Heavenly Monarch sent Yan Quan to guard the capital in hopes that he could find as many Sinner's Blood descendants as possible. Every Sinner's Blood descendant they found was equivalent to a contribution. Over the years, Yan Quan had found many Sinner's Blood descendants, but they had all died at his hands. Perhaps in a few years, Yan Quan could also be promoted to Deputy Legion Commander. However, Yan Quan no longer had the chance to advance. Lin Feng would not let this guy go. Just a moment ago, Lin Feng heard some people talking about Yan Quan's background. This guy seemed to be the son-in-law of the Divine Heavenly King. Previously, Lin Feng had killed the Divine Heavenly King's 7 sons, Shinzong Dao. If the Divine Heavenly King were to find out that he had killed Yan Quan, the son-in-law of the Divine Heavenly King, wouldn't he be angered to death? Lin Feng was in charge of long-range attacks, while Demon Venerable Jiu Shui, Mu Tianlang, and Kong Tian were in charge of restraining Yan Quan. The reason why Yan Quan was recruited by the Divine Heavenly King as his son-in-law was because of his talent when he was young. Back then, Yan Quan was also an extremely heaven-defying existence, able to challenge opponents who were several major realms above him. He was one of the top geniuses of his generation. Therefore, the battle strength of someone like Yan Quan was not something that ordinary quasi-true immortals could compare to. Although Demon Venerable Jiu Shui, Mu Tianlang, and Kong Tian were all heavenly immortals, they were still a bit lacking when compared to Yan Quan. From this, one could see just how powerful Yan Quan was. Of course, the three of them had Lin Feng assisting them from the side. Lin Feng held the Hui Bao and shot an arrow at Yan Quan from time to time. Every time Yan Quan repelled the three experts and wanted to pursue and kill them, Lin Feng's arrow would have already arrived in front of Yan Quan. Although Yan Quan was powerful, he did not dare to ignore the terrifying power of the Hui Bao. Therefore, Yan Quan was very sullen right now. Although his battle strength was astonishing, it was very difficult for him to gain the upper hand. Instead, he was forced into a fluster by Lin Feng and the three experts. "You sinners' blood descendants should all be killed! Today, this seat will not be entangled with you. This seat will return and report to the Divine Heavenly King. When the time comes, the Divine Heavenly King will personally lead an army and kill you sinners' blood descendants." Yan Quan's voice contained a dense killing intent. This guy knew that he could not kill Lin Feng and the other three. He also knew that he could not reverse the situation with his own strength. Therefore, Yan Quan planned to leave. He used total annihilation, and Demon Venerable Jiu Shui, Mu Tianlang, and Kong Tian were all sent flying. Then Yan Quan quickly flew into the distance. Seeing Yan Quan escape, Lin Feng began to chant an incantation. After flying 1,000 meters, Yan Quan could not help but let out a mournful scream. His body suddenly swayed, and he almost fell from the sky. Just now, Lin Feng used the Great Curse Art to attack Yan Quan. He originally wanted to use the Great Curse Art to heavily injure Yan Quan's body, but he did not succeed after using it more than 10 times. Therefore, Lin Feng tried to use the Great Curse Art to injure Yan Quan's soul. This time, his attempt actually succeeded. "My head! My head!" Yan Quan hugged his head and roared in pain. The three powerhouses attacked Yan Quan. Yan Quan's eyes turned blood red. He roared furiously. "You all deserve to die! All of you deserve to die!" He waved his war spear and attacked the three powerhouses. The three powerhouses were forced to retreat by Yan Quan. At this moment, Yan Quan had completely entered a berserk state. Therefore, his attack power was very terrifying. In addition, his cultivation level was half a level higher than the three powerhouses. Therefore, the three powerhouses were in a very bad situation. However, at this moment, Lin Feng drew his bow and shot an arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow quickly shot toward Yan Quan. The perfect combination of the Hui Bao and the sun-shot divine arrow could erupt with unimaginable power. Yan Quan did not dare to be careless when the sun-shot divine arrow shot toward him. He waved his war spear and swept it toward the sun-shot divine arrow. Clang! The war spear in his hand collided with the sun-shot divine arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow was sent flying. However, the war spear in Yan Quan's hand was also broken by the terrifying power of the sun-shot divine arrow. Yan Quan himself was sent flying. Previously, Lin Feng did not use the sun-shot divine arrow. Instead, he used an energy arrow. This was because the ultimate move needed to be used at the most critical moment. Moreover, using the sun-shot divine arrow consumed too much of one's body. Lin Feng had been looking for a more suitable opportunity to use the sun-shot divine arrow. At this moment, Lin Feng used the sun-shot divine arrow. The effect of the sun-shot divine arrow made Lin Feng extremely satisfied. Chapter 4588. The three experts were all very experienced. Therefore, after Yan Quan was sent flying by Lin Feng's sun-shot divine arrow, they quickly rushed forward. Yan Quan's strongest point was the state of being one with his spear. His spear technique was profound and unfathomable, and incomparably powerful. However, now that his battle spear was destroyed, Yan Quan's combat strength was greatly affected. He held the broken spear and fought with the three experts. Originally, he could suppress the three experts. However, now, with the broken spear, he could only fight to a draw with the three experts. The sun-shot divine arrow flew back to Lin Feng's hand. Lin Feng took a deep breath and continued to shoot. The bowstring was pulled into a half-moon shape by Lin Feng. Then, Lin Feng shot out an arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow shot towards Yan Quan again. Yan Quan's face was extremely ugly. His battle spear was made of meteoric iron and was extremely sturdy. However, it was broken by the powerful force of the sun-shot divine arrow. Therefore, one could imagine how terrifying the power of the sun-shot divine arrow was. It was no wonder that any living being shot by the sun-shot divine arrow would die instantly. This was because when the sun-shot divine arrow pierced through the body, the power of the shock wave was too terrifying. The power of the sun-shot divine arrow was enough to instantly destroy the vitality of any living being. Therefore, no one could withstand the attack of the sun-shot divine arrow. Facing the attack of the sun-shot divine arrow, Yan Quan did not dare to be careless. He swept towards the sun-shot divine arrow again. However, this time, Yan Quan performed the supreme limitless spear technique. This spear technique was said to be the supreme spear technique created by Supreme. It was definitely a top-notch spear technique. Therefore, after the sweep of the spear, the power was extremely terrifying. Yan Quan's battle spear collided with Lin Feng's sun-shot divine arrow again. Although Yan Quan swept the sun-shot divine arrow away this time, he was still injured by the sun-shot divine arrow. The power of the sun-shot divine arrow was too terrifying. Yan Quan's hands were cracked and blood immediately flowed out. He could not even hold the battle spear anymore. The combination of Ho Yi's bow and sun-shot divine arrow really lives up to its reputation. No wonder Ho Yi could shoot down the sun in the sky back then. Demon Venerable Jiao Shui couldn't help but exclaim. Mu Tianlang and Kong Tian were also shocked because the combination of the Ho Yi bow and the sun-shooting divine arrow was too powerful. Although the sun-shooting divine arrows were not targeted at them. However, when they felt the terrifying power of the sun-slaying divine arrow, they couldn't help but shudder. Therefore, it was not strange that Yan Quan was injured by the sun-slaying divine arrow. Of course, there was another reason why Yan Quan was injured by the sun-slaying divine arrow. That was because Yan Quan was distracted by the three of them, so he was unable to unleash his full battle prowess in the face of the sun-slaying god arrow. Yan Quan could only use a portion of his battle prowess to deal with the sun-shot divine arrow. Everyone! Let's get rid of this guy in one go! Lin Feng couldn't help but shout. Hearing this, the three experts nodded and once again attacked Yan Quan. The three of them did not wish to kill Yan Quan. They only wished to distract Yan Quan's mind. Whoosh! 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 The sun-slaying divine arrow flew out again and again. Lin Feng shot out another 3 arrows. Yan Quan finally couldn't hold on any longer. The battle spear in his hand broke. From this, one could see how terrifying the sun-slaying divine arrow was. Previously, the sun-slaying divine arrow had pierced through those immortal-grade defensive treasures as easily as shooting through a piece of paper. Therefore, it was not strange that the sun-slaying divine arrow could destroy Yan Quan's battle spear. Pfft. In the end, the sun-slaying divine arrow pierced through Yan Quan's abdomen. Blood immediately gushed out. Yan Quan looked at the huge bloody hole in his abdomen in horror. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but no words came out in the end. In the end, Yan Quan laughed bitterly and his corpse fell from the sky. Yan Quan's death was naturally seen by others. Seeing Yan Quan killed, the morale of the Sacred Legion's cultivators fell to the bottom. Lord Yan is dead. Hurry up and run! Some cultivators of the Sacred Legion cried out in horror. Then, the cultivators of the Sacred Legion began to flee. Ha ha ha, Yan Quan is dead. Brothers, what are we waiting for? Kill the 100,000 cultivators of the Sacred Legion and send them to hell with Yan Quan. Kill! Kill all these bastards of the Sacred Legion! Some cultivators on Lin Feng's side shouted. Next, the cultivators of the Sacred Legion chased after the cultivators of the Sacred Legion. The cultivators of the Sacred Legion had already lost their morale. They had no desire to continue fighting and only wanted to escape. However, in the process of fleeing, a large number of them were killed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Lin Feng drew his bow and shot out one arrow after another. Pft, pft, pft. Ripping sounds came one after another. A large number of cultivators were pierced through by Lin Feng's arrows. Corpses fell to the ground one after another. In the distance, earth-shaking battle cries could be heard. The Sinner's Blood descendants, Sinner's blood-in-laws, and other cultivators came to help. The fleeing cultivators of the Sacred Legion were stopped by the cultivators who came to help Lin Feng. Originally, the cultivators of the Sacred Legion thought that they could escape, but now, they were once again trapped in a bitter battle. After a fierce battle, the 100,000 cultivators of the Sacred Legion were all killed. Victory! We won! Countless cultivators roared in shock. Then, many people's faces were covered in tears. This was because they thought of their relatives, their ancestors, who had been wantonly slaughtered by the Sacred Legion. They had died so tragically. Now, they could finally avenge them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the primordial spirits of the gods flew out from the bodies of the Sinner's Blood descendants. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the primordial spirits of the gods. Thank you, seniors! Lin Feng cupped his fists. Thank you, seniors! Everyone followed Lin Feng and thanked the primordial spirits of the gods. We failed back then, but we have never regretted it. Our primordial spirits are about to dissipate, but our minds will not. We hope that you will succeed in protecting this epoch from destruction. We will do our best, Lin Feng said firmly. The primordial spirits nodded. Then, their bodies began to gradually dissipate. Senior, have a safe journey, Lin Feng muttered to himself. As he watched the primordial spirits gradually dissipate, he felt very uncomfortable. The gods had fought to protect this epoch. They had fought bloody battles. They had died 9 times without regrets. Now, even the last of their primordial spirits were about to dissipate, but their descendants didn't even know their names. It was an extremely sorrowful sight. Chapter 4589. With the origin spirits of the gods dissipating, many people's hearts were extremely heavy. These great seniors had made too many contributions to this era. However, they had been forgotten. It had to be said that this was a very sorrowful matter. Only by working harder to survive could the future generations prove that their sacrifices in the past were worth it. Everyone! Those who are willing to fight alongside me, stay. Because perhaps soon, the main force of the Sacred Legion will arrive. What kind of situation will it be? It's still unknown. If you're worried, you should leave the Sin City as soon as possible. Lin Feng stood in the void and looked at the surrounding cultivators. We've endured humiliation for so many years that we don't want to live kneeling anymore. Even if we die, we want to die standing. That's right. Even if we die, we want to die standing. Moreover, following the Sinner Blood Emperor doesn't mean that we'll die. We're all willing to follow the Sinner Blood Emperor and fight to the death with the Sacred Legion. Many people couldn't help but shout. The main force of the Sacred Legion guarded the Sin City. They had caused too many massacres in the Sin City. The soil of the Sin City was blood red. Because too many people had died, their blood had merged with the soil of the Sin City. Sinners' blood descendants, sinners' blood-in-laws, these people's enmity with the Sacred Legion couldn't be washed away. The other cultivators in the Sin City also had many grievances with the Sacred Legion. For example, some cultivators' relatives and friends were suspected by the Sacred Legion and had their entire families executed. Some cultivators' relatives and friends were bullied by the Sacred Legion and had their entire families executed for the slightest resistance. Such matters were too common. Some cultivators' relatives and friends had powerful treasures, precious resources, or powerful inheritances. When the Sacred Legion found out, the Sacred Legion would directly slander them as sinners' blood descendants and slaughter their entire families. The Sacred Legion had done such things countless times. Thus, countless cultivators in the Sin City had more or less enmity with the Sacred Legion for various reasons. Lin Feng said, "Since everyone has decided to stay in the Sin City to fight against the Sacred Legion, let's clean up the battlefield. Collect the storage rings of the Sacred Legion's cultivators and reward everyone with everything inside. As for their corpses, Move them all outside the city and burn them. Yes. Many people immediately responded. Lin Feng looked at Demon Master Jiu Shui, Mu Tianlang, Kong Tian, and the other experts and said, "Thank you for coming to help. It's not a good place to talk outside. Let's talk inside." After exchanging some pleasantries, they followed Lin Feng to the living room of the ancestral mansion. 3 heavenly immortals, many earthen immortals, human immortals, and loose immortals arrived. There were so many of them that there were about 300 of them. "I plan to form an alliance called the Sinner's Blood Alliance. What do you all think?" Lin Feng asked the crowd. "Of course, there's no problem. I personally agree," Demon Venerable Jiu Shui said. Mu Tianlang nodded and said, "I also agree with Brother Lin." Kong Tian said, "This old man has no objections." Since the 3 sky immortal experts had no objections, the rest of the people naturally had no objections either. Furthermore, the sinner's blood descendants, the sinner's blood in-laws, had been suppressed for too many years. The casualties were so severe that their hatred burned like a volcano that was about to erupt. At this point, he could no longer tolerate it. It was just as some of the cultivators had said. Rather than live on their knees, rather die standing. Of course, there was another important reason that made everyone stand out bravely. That was, now that the apocalypse had arrived, the Armageddon War could come at any time. Rather than slowly waiting for death, it was better to fight with all their might. In particular, everyone had heard that Lin Feng's father was someone who inherited the fate of an era. As Lin Feng was Lin Baiqian's son, he must also be someone who inherited the fate of an era. Therefore, follow Lin Feng. If they could win, Lin Feng would create a whole new situation in the Undying Realm. They could be considered senior figures by Lin Feng's side. When the Armageddon War arrived, they would need someone like Lin Feng, who inherited the fate of an era, to lead them to survive. Lin Feng said, "Since no one has any objections, the Sinner's Blood Alliance is established today. We will now elect a person with both ability and integrity to be the leader of the Sinner's Blood Alliance. He will lead everyone to fight against the Sacred Army and the Heavenly Court. Everyone can express their own opinions." Demon Supremacy Jiu Shui said, "I recommend Little Brother Lin to be the leader. Little Brother Lin has the Sinner's Blood Emperor's blood, the royal family of the Sinner's blood. His bloodline is pure and he is the most qualified. This is the first reason. In addition, Little Brother Lin is someone who inherited the fate of an era. Moreover, he is talented and powerful. In the future, he will definitely shine in the Armageddon War. This is the second reason. Little Brother Lin is courageous, brave, and wise. He will definitely be able to bring glory to the Sinner's Blood Alliance. This is the third reason. Combining these 3 points, I think Little Brother Lin is most suitable to be the leader of the Sinner's Blood Alliance." Mu Tianlang nodded and said, "I also agree with Demon Supremacy Jiu Shui's opinion. I also recommend Little Brother Lin to be the leader of the Sinner's Blood Alliance." Kong Tian smiled and said, "It is natural for the Sinner's Blood Emperor to be the leader of the Sinner's Blood Alliance. It is also what everyone wants. We also support Little Brother Lin to be the leader." "That's right, we have no objections." After the 3 heaven immortals expressed their opinions, many earth immortals also expressed their opinions. Lin Feng being the leader of the Sinner's Blood Alliance was indeed what everyone wanted. Therefore, Lin Feng was unanimously approved. Lin Feng said, "Many thanks for everyone's great support. Since everyone has recommended me to be the leader of the Sinner's Blood Alliance, I will definitely lead the Sinner's Blood Alliance to glory. Apart from the leader, I also suggest that we establish 5 deputy leaders. What do you all think?" Naturally, no one had any objections. After a round of discussion, the 5 deputy leaders were Demon Supremacy Jiu Shui, Mu Tianlang, Kong Tian, Jiang Yamo, and Xinqiong. Of the 5 deputy leaders, Lin Feng knew Demon Supremacy Jiu Shui, Mu Tianlang, Kong Tian, and Jiang Yamo. Lin Feng did not know Xinqiong, but it was said that he was a descendant of war god Xing Tian. His identity was also extraordinary. Next, Lin Feng planned to strengthen the grand formation of the Sinner's capital. He had previously observed the situation of the Sinner's capital. There were many ancient grand formations, but they were all broken. They could not be used. However, if he could repair them, they would be very useful. If the sacred army attacked, the grand formations would be very useful. When the time came, he would only need to activate the grand formation. If the sacred army wanted to break the grand formation, they would have to pay an extremely heavy price to do so. Chapter 4590. What happened in the capital of Sin quickly spread throughout the undying realm as if it had grown wings. It caused a huge uproar. The Sinner Emperor had appeared. The Sinner's blood had appeared. This was definitely something that could shake the undying realm. Over the years, the undying realm had been suppressing the Sinner's blood descendants. They killed every sinner they saw. Many people even thought that the Sinner's blood descendants were on the verge of extinction. But now they knew. There were still many Sinner's blood descendants alive. The news has been confirmed. The Sinner Emperor is Lin Baitian's son, Lin Feng. What? Lin Baitian's son? He's actually that person's son? He's an existence that can't be mentioned. That's right. His rise back then was too fast. He was too terrifying. I once saw him kill a terrifying being from a foreign world with a single move. That's an existence that can contend against a true immortal. You can't understand how I felt back then. After Di Wudao plotted against Lin Baitian, he disappeared without a trace. Now that his son has appeared in the Undying Realm, I wonder if Lin Baitian has also appeared in the Undying Realm. That's possible. His son is standing in the light while he's hiding in the dark. If the father and son work together, they can definitely do something shocking. Actually, I received some news that Lin Baitian is not in the Undying Realm. Only his son is in the Undying Realm. Is the news accurate? It should be. The news came from the Celestial Emperor Palace. Even if Lin Feng isn't in the Undying Realm, he should have a powerful protector by his side. I'm not sure. Regardless of whether he has a protector or not, Lin Feng is still an extremely terrifying existence. Although he's young, his battle prowess is heaven-defying. In addition, he obtained the Hou-Yi Bao and sun-slaying divine arrows. His battle prowess is unfathomable. If he goes all out, even a quasi-true immortal would die under the attack of the sun-shooting divine arrow. Lin Feng has formed the Sinner's Blood Alliance in the capital of Sin. The Sinner's Blood descendants, Sinner's blood-in-laws, and other factions have elected him as the alliance leader. It seems like Lin Feng is planning to fight to the death against the sacred army stationed in the sinful realm. I don't think they will fight to the death anytime soon. What do you mean? Shouldn't the sacred army take advantage of the fact that Lin Feng's wings are not fully fledged, and pressure the border with a large army is the best choice? If we wait until Lin Feng gets stronger, it will be much more difficult to destroy the Sinner's Blood Alliance. How much do you know about Divine Heavenly King? This is a true immortal expert. His strength is unfathomable. He is deeply trusted by the Celestial Emperor. You guys still don't know enough about the Divine Heavenly King. The Divine Heavenly King is a cautious person. His personality is naturally an excellent advantage, especially for us cultivators. Only by being cautious can we survive in the world of cultivators. Those careless cultivators will definitely die a miserable death. This advantage is naturally extremely outstanding when it appears on a single cultivator, but if it appears on the commander of an army, it may not necessarily be an advantage. Why do you say that? Everyone, think about it. As a cautious person, the Divine Heavenly King will definitely have many misgivings before moving to Sin Capital. He will definitely investigate whether Lin Feng has the backing of a peak expert. He will also investigate the approximate strength of Lin Feng before taking action, and investigating these matters will obviously take a lot of time. As a commander, if he wants to win by surprise, he will need to take risks. However, the cautious Divine Heavenly King is not willing to take risks, so his personality determines his way of doing things. Brother, now that you mention it, we also feel that this is the case. I wonder how things will develop from here on out. I actually hope that Lin Feng can lead the Sinner's Blood Alliance to rise again. These years, the Sinner's Blood Alliance and its in-laws have been persecuted, truly infuriating. At this very moment, countless cultivators in the various large domains of the Undying Realm were discussing what had happened in Sin Capital. The various large powers were quietly observing the changes, intending to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. As for the rogue cultivators, they were just waiting to watch the show. However, there were also some who, after hearing about what had happened in Sin Capital, were moved to tears. Then, those cultivators rushed towards Sin Capital. Those cultivators were basically the Sinner's Blood descendants and Sinner's in-laws who were hiding in various places. Now, the Sinner's Blood Alliance had rebelled. They finally saw hope. Even if they died in battle, they also wanted to join the Sinner's Blood Alliance. It could be said that the appearance of the Sinner's Blood Emperor completely changed the situation in the Undying Realm. Heavenly Court. Crown Prince Palace. Di Wudao also received news of what had happened in Sin Capital. Bang! He directly smashed a vase into pieces. Trash. What trash? An army of 100,000 was actually annihilated. The Sinner's Blood descendants and Sinner's in-laws have also appeared. Are all the subordinates of the Divine Heavenly King so trash? So many people joined forces to quickly kill Lin Feng. How could such a thing happen? Di Wudao roared with incomparable anger. He was angry, he was jealous, he was afraid, and he was worried. Lin Feng's rise was too fast, and this was the thing he did not want to see the most. Back then, he had pretended to be loyal in front of Lin Baitian. Could it be that he was going to be trampled under the feet of Lin Baitian's son now? The Mirror of Future said. I heard, that kid broke the attack of an army of 100,000. What? Hearing this, Di Wudao's hand suddenly trembled. How is that possible? He could not help but ask. That was an army of 100,000. If they attacked together, killing Lin Feng would not be a problem, right? Now, Lin Feng had actually broken the attack of 100,000. How could Di Wudao accept this fact? The Mirror of Future said. This is indeed the truth. For some reason, this guy can actually unleash the power of Ho Yi's Bao and sun-slaying divine arrow. That's why he was able to block the attack of the army of 100,000. Of course, if the army of 100,000 continued to attack him, he would still be killed by them. However, he did not give them a chance to attack again. He shot a cloud-piercing arrow and summoned his allies. Then, the Sinner's Blood descendants, Sinner's Blood in-laws, and many cultivators who had a grudge against the Divine Heavenly King army responded to his call. In the end, the army of 100,000 was annihilated. Di Wudao's expression was extremely gloomy. He asked, What's the situation with the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty? Haven't they made their move yet? How long are they going to wait? The Mirror of Future said awkwardly. The Blood Hell Assassin dynasty has already made their move, but their first assassination attempt failed. Di Wudao's mouth twitched violently. Chapter 4591. Previously, the Mirror of Future had confidently told Di Wudao how powerful and terrifying the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty was. Once the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty made a move, Lin Feng would definitely die. Di Wudao trusted the Mirror of Future quite a bit, so he believed everything the Mirror of Future had said. However, the reality made Di Wudao extremely angry. Lin Feng was completely fine, and the Mirror of Future had exaggerated the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty's assassination attempt had failed. Now, Di Wudao really wanted to smash the Mirror of Future. Of course, the Mirror of Future was also quite embarrassed. Who asked this fellow to boast so much about the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty? Now that the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty had failed to assassinate Lin Feng, it was like a slap to his face. This slap was really painful. The Mirror of Future said. This time, the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty was careless because the cultivators they sent were only apprentice assassins. That led to the failure of the mission. What? Apprentice assassins? What does the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty mean? The person I, Di Wadao, want to kill, they actually only sent apprentice assassins. Are they looking down on me? Di Wadao could not help but say angrily. The Blood Hell Assassin dynasty had only sent apprentice assassins to assassinate Lin Feng. This meant that the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty did not care about Lin Feng. Moreover, Lin Feng was someone they wanted to kill. If not for the fact that Di Wadao was in seclusion, he would have done it himself. In Di Wadao's opinion, if the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty looked down on the person he wanted to kill, wasn't that the same as looking down on him? Di Wadao was a person who cared a lot about his face. Of course, he was furious. The Mirror of Future said, "Your Highness, the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty did not look down on Your Highness. Please calm down. The Blood Hell Assassin dynasty has sent even more powerful assassins to assassinate Lin Feng. The apprentice assassins' methods were not good, but the real assassins from the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty are extremely terrifying. Perhaps their combat strength is not at the level of an absolute expert, but their killing and concealment techniques are unparalleled in the world. Even cultivators who cultivate the Tao of space will not be able to detect them. Therefore, when their killing and concealment techniques are combined, Lin Feng won't even know what happened. Who knows, he might have been killed by those assassins." After hearing the Mirror of Future's explanation, Di Wudao's expression looked a little better. He said, "I hope they won't disappoint me this time." The Mirror of Future said, "Of course, this time, the top assassins of the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty will never disappoint Your Highness." Lin Feng did not know that Di Wudao was plotting against him. Even if he knew, Lin Feng would not take it to heart. At this moment, Lin Feng was repairing the Great Array of Sin City. Jiang Yamo was also an array master. He and dozens of spiritual array masters helped Lin Feng repair the Great Array. Therefore, the Great Array was repaired very quickly. These spiritual array masters had been studying the art of spiritual array for at least 700,000 to 800,000 years. Some had been studying it for 3 to 4 million years. However, at this moment, these top spiritual array masters looked at Lin Feng with admiration. As the saying went, the one who reached the top was the teacher. Although Lin Feng was young, his attainments in the art of spiritual array shocked them. In front of Lin Feng, even the best spiritual array masters couldn't compare to him. Jiang Yamo was the most powerful spiritual array master among all the spiritual array masters. Therefore, he was of great help to Lin Feng. It took more than a month for the Great Array of Sin City to be completely repaired. The Great Array of Sin City was once again impregnable. Every day, more and more experts came. More and more sinners' bloodline, sinners' blood-in-laws, or those who had enmity with the Sacred Army or the Heavenly Court came to join Lin Feng. With the arrival of these cultivators, the sinners' blood alliance's strength continued to increase. This made Lin Feng very happy. Lin Feng thought about the matter of the map. Although he knew that it was most likely fake, he did not believe it. Lin Feng was still very interested in Jiang Mo's story. Lin Feng found Jiang Mo and said, "What you said about the lightning core, was it really just a story you made up? Was it just to sell those fake maps?" Jiang Mo said, "Alliance Master! Everything I said is true." "What? It's all true?" Lin Feng could not help but be shocked. Jiang Mo nodded and said, "Regardless of whether it's the map, the lightning core, or the legends about the map and the lightning core, they are all true. However, the map is not complete. I used the original map to imprint many new maps. Then, I sold those maps in order to find fated people. Do you still have the original map?" Lin Feng asked. "Yes," Jiang Mo said. He then took out a sheepskin map. When Lin Feng saw the sheepskin map, he could not help but raise his brows slightly. The sheepskin map was clearly the original map. Jiang Mo handed the map to Lin Feng and said, "This is the original map. Please take a look, Alliance Master." Lin Feng opened the map and looked at it carefully. He found that the map was extremely old. A part of it was indeed missing. Therefore, he could not use the incomplete map to find the lightning core's location. Lin Feng asked, How did you get this map? I found it in a Tao scripture passed down by my ancestors. The map is in the Tao scripture, Jiang Emo said. Was it already incomplete when it was first discovered? Lin Feng asked. Jiang Emo nodded. Lin Feng continued asking, After so many years, you did not find any clues? Jiang Emo smiled bitterly and said, Yes. Perhaps it is because this subordinate is not fated to have this map. If the Alliance Master likes this map, this subordinate will give it to you. Many thanks, Lin Feng said. Alliance Master is too polite. Jiang Emo smiled. The two chatted for a while more before Jiang Emo left. Lin Feng studied the map in his room. He tried to use his divine sense to investigate the secrets of the map, but Lin Feng was unable to find anything. Next, Lin Feng dripped his blood to refine the map. However, the map did not absorb his blood. The map could not be refined with his blood. This meant that the map was not a treasure. Swoosh! With a flash of light, the heart compass appeared in Lin Feng's hand. Great Immortal Sage Martin, come out. Let's talk, Lin Feng said to the heart compass. Why are you looking for me? Great Immortal Sage Martin emerged from the heart compass. Lin Feng said, See if you can use this map to find the lightning core's location. Update 10 continues in the afternoon. Looking for monthly votes and recommendation tickets. Chapter 4592. Sage Martin glanced at the map and said, Of course, no problem. But you know our rules. If you want to know the answer, you have to pay the price. What's the price for divining the lightning core? Lin Feng could not help but frown. I'll give you a choice. First, sacrifice 90 million years of your lifespan to the heart plate. Before Sage Martin could say the second condition, Lin Feng was already rolling his eyes. He only had 90 million years of lifespan, yet Sage Martin wanted him to sacrifice 90 million years of his lifespan. If he really sacrificed 90 million years of his lifespan, he would only have a few million years of lifespan left. Of course, this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that if a cultivator sacrificed their lifespan, it would cause harm to their body. The more lifespan sacrificed, the greater the damage to the body. 90 million years of lifespan. How much damage would it cause to the body? It was very likely that it would cause great damage to the body, and in the end, cause one's cultivation to be unable to progress. Therefore, Lin Feng would not even consider sacrificing his lifespan. Sage Martin continued, The second method is that you have to promise me to go to a place. Go to a place? What place? Lin Feng could not help but ask in confusion. The wasteland, Sage Martin said. When he said the words wasteland, his tone clearly fluctuated violently. Clearly, something unknown must have happened to Sage Martin in the wasteland. Lin Feng was not unfamiliar with the wasteland, as he had heard about it too many times. However, to be honest, the wasteland was still full of mysteries to Lin Feng. Lin Feng only knew that there were many strong cultivators in the wasteland and that it was a cruel world. In that world, even titled gods could die at any time. Moreover, because that world was connected to the three paramount realms and the foreign lands, the experts from both realms would head to the wasteland. In particular, the experts from the foreign lands could freely enter the wasteland, and everyone knew how powerful and ferocious the experts from the foreign lands were. Therefore, if one did not have the strength to enter the wasteland, it would be suicide. He wouldn't live for more than 3 days. This was the best way to describe the situation of ordinary cultivators heading to the wasteland. Lin Feng said, All right. I can promise you that. Don't agree so early. Because when the time comes, you are about to enter the forbidden zone of the wasteland. That place. It's a place that even the ruler of the wasteland doesn't dare to set foot in. The sacred Martin Immortal said with a strange smile. Life forbidden zone? Is it a land of death? Lin Feng asked with a frown. No. The deathly danger zone is the deathly danger zone. The deathly danger zone is the deathly danger zone. Great Immortal Sage Martin said. But the names sound similar, Lin Feng said. Great Immortal Sage Martin said. You don't know this, but there is a huge difference between the Death Zone and the Life Zone. Although many people call the Deathly Danger Zone a Deathly Danger Zone, these people don't know that the Deathly Danger Zone can't be called a Deathly Danger Zone. The Deathly Danger Zone is called a Deathly Danger Zone. At this point, Great Immortal Sage Martin paused for a moment, as if to organize his words. Then, he continued, the Deathly Danger Zone has a special law that prevents the mastermind from entering. Therefore, some experts in the past hid in the Deathly Danger Zone in order to survive. Lin Feng nodded. He already knew this. Great Immortal Sage Martin continued. The Deathly Danger Zone is different. That place is not a sanctuary. The danger of that place is unimaginable. The Deathly Danger Zone has even buried the mastermind behind it. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. That news was earth-shattering. The Deathly Danger Zone was actually so terrifying? It was too inconceivable. It was too terrifying. If that was the case, who would dare to enter the Deathly Danger Zone? What was the difference between that and suicide? Lin Feng finally understood why the Deathly Danger Zone was called a Deathly Danger Zone. A Deathly Danger Zone that no living being could enter. That was the origin of the Deathly Danger Zone. Is it really that terrifying? Lin Feng asked in disbelief. The main reason was that Great Immortal Sage Martin's words were too frightening. It was unbelievable. Anyone who heard this would find it unbelievable. The Deathly Danger Zone was already terrifying enough. No one dared to enter the Deathly Danger Zone. However, the Deathly Danger Zone. It seemed even more terrifying than the Deathly Danger Zone. Of course it is, Great Immortal Sage Martin said. Actually, in my opinion, some of the scariest Deathly Danger Zones are the Deathly Danger Zones. Those are the Deathly Danger Zones. Great Immortal Sage Martin clearly had a lingering fear when he mentioned the top Deathly Danger Zones. Lin Feng couldn't help but ask in confusion. Didn't you just say that the Deathly Danger Zones are different from the Deathly Danger Zones? Yes, they are indeed different. What I mean is that some of the top Deathly Danger Zones are more or less the same as the Deathly Danger Zones, which is why some people believe that some of the top Deathly Danger Zones are actually Deathly Danger Zones. However, although there are many similarities, there are definitely some differences. It's just that these things aren't known to outsiders. Lin Feng took a deep breath and asked, Ben, do you know who created the Deathly Danger Zones and Deathly Danger Zones? What? Do you want to know? Great Immortal Sage Martin looked at Lin Feng with a faint smile. The Deathly Danger Zone has buried the mastermind, but the Deathly Danger Zone is a Deathly Danger Zone. I am indeed very interested in the origins of these two places, Lin Feng said. Great Immortal Sage Martin shrugged and said, What a pity. I can't answer you even if you want to know, because I don't know either. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel speechless. He had the urge to slap Great Immortal Sage Martin away right now. You don't know, yet you're acting like you do. You're really asking for a beating. Lin Feng's heart trembled, and he continued. You said that the Deathly Danger Zone has buried the mastermind. What's going on? Isn't the mastermind still alive and well? Great Immortal Sage Martin said. Do you think the mastermind is a single person? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Before this, he had indeed thought so. Great Immortal Sage Martin said. The mastermind's strength varies. But they're not the same person. Lin Feng recalled that his ancestor, Ji Zixu, had died while trying to kill the mastermind. He continued, I heard that the mastermind is undying and indestructible. It seems like no one can kill them. This statement should be correct, but it doesn't mean that there is no way to kill them. Cultivators may not be able to kill them, but there are some special things or places that can kill the mastermind behind the scenes. For example, the Life Forbidden Zone that we just mentioned. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.